pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Claus?
Here.
Mrs. Passio?
Here.
Mrs. Moore? Here. Mr. White?
Here.
Mrs. Kelly?
Here.
Mr. Wood?
Here.
Mr. Basor?
Here.
And Mr. Wright, I guess will be here eventually.
Yes. Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the clerk in the following manner. Posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office on January 7, 2013, and emailed to the Retrospect and Courier Post on January 7, 2013. We're going to change the format just a little bit because we do have some special guests here this evening. We're going to start off with, if we could, the police chief has just shown up. Mark, if you want to just come up for a second and, you know, just so we can get you out of here is the St. Marie Goretti Church letter that was submitted about changing the handicap parking. Did you want to comment on that? So that we'll just...
No, I don't have any problem at all with it. Probably, the only thing I suggest is it has to be done through the engineer, so probably have to take some measurements. So it has to indicate that in the ordinance. That's handicap right now, it's no parking.
Okay, so the current ordinance says...
It's parking, but it's regular parking. Now you're going to change the handicap, so I indicate that and also put the measurements in our...
Is that something you typically mark out for us and then we pass a resolution changing this? I mean, is that something we can do? Does everyone want to do this for February's council meeting and then it'll be first reading? Is that how we'll do this? And then we'll have it written down for the March meeting and then change it? Does that sound good, everyone?
Sounds fine. The only question I have about it is, wouldn't it be best, I'm sure they can all hear me, wouldn't it be best
Can be
like
recorded.
wouldn't it be best to like wait until the street's paved, if it's slotted to be paved before it gets changed? I mean, I'm not opposed to anything being like set in play, but I mean, wouldn't it make more sense to do it after the street's being paved? Because from everything that's talked about, that street's on the list of definitely being fixed.
I guess, is the curb being done at that location? We don't know. Curb's not that
It
bad.
doesn't seem like.
I mean, what it would entail is painting the curb blue and putting up some handicap signs. Now, when we go to redo the road, if we do the apron, or not the apron, if we do the curb and the apron, we could always just repaint it blue, I think would be the most of the cost. And
Just lay it out, road project.
just put up part of it.
That way, it'll be done in the road project.
Yeah.
So you approve it, and then when you do the road project, have it done by the contractor, and some signs are in.
Okay. Well, how long would we, you know, is it something that we think we need to get done? Because the road project is probably going to take 6 to 8 months.
You're going to spend the money down and stripe it, paint it, get curb, you're just going to carry it up. And
Yeah.
Right.
Is that what you're
That was
thinking?
what my point was, is exactly, because I didn't know if it was just gonna be like painting of the curb, or if there was gonna be areas.
Well, we'll be painting the curb and the signage.
Right, and section sign, like, you know, blotted off, I don't know the exact, it's like for each car to be in this space, right.
You might have the striping and everything done on the project.
Does that sound reasonable? Should we move forward with the ordinance then? At least have it in place, or should we have the ordinance wait?
You put it in place, whatever you want. We're not going to do it. We can certainly, if we're not going to do the work, we can, or do the changeover, we can certainly do the ordinance, or we can put it off, whatever yours your pleasure. I mean, it's really your call.
I would like to do the, yeah, I would like to do the ordinance.
Okay.
Is that gonna be one side, or it's both sides?
I'll have to look at it.
Yeah.
Chief, was it just one? It's only on the one side.
It's the one side, it's the one side
So
where
the
it's at.
reality is, I think, that maybe we would have this ordinance for first reading in March, not certainly
Okay.
next week.
Okay.
Right.
He's got to look at it and do some
Okay.
calculations, so would that make more sense to everybody?
Okay.
All right.
And that'll line up, and we'll add that to the bid spec for the road project.
I'm going to suggest something that maybe somebody reach out to Father Joe down there and advise him of what's going on.
The progress on that? Is that one of you?
Because I think he was getting a lot of complaints.
He was getting complaints.
Some of the people are handicapped. There's limited space right now,
Okay.
and they have to park down the street or in the parking lot.
Okay. So what would we keep that, maybe public safety, and we'll just say it's part of the road project, and then we'll have it done as soon as the road is done.
When is the anticipated date for the road to be done?
Don't want to know that.
Well, we're authorizing you to go out for bid this evening for the 2 roads that were slated.
We can probably have the specs done in 3 weeks, I would say. And then it'll take about a month to still get advertised and awarded, so you probably will come in April.
April.
June, and then 30 days to, it'll be June. So say that the project will probably get started in June. It'll look good. Okay.
But at least the ordinance will be in place.
That's what we're saying, a March 1st reading, hopefully in April, and then in June.
Okay.
Was there anything else, Chief?
Appointment for that special first,
Yeah, did you want to, do we want to?
do you want to discuss it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I know that the Public Safety Committee had discussed an appointment for another Class 2 officer. Did you want to at least report on anything with that? Is that something we want to do?
Well, the committee met with the chief, and we reviewed the application for the second-class officer, and our recommendation is that we should move ahead to hire him as quickly as possible, because we do have the 2 retirees coming up. So it was the committee's recommendation that we look at the application seriously in anticipation of the 2 retirees, so that we're not left hanging.
Now, are you,
That was-
is this a kid that's on the civil service list?
This is,
No, what I'm saying is you're gonna hire somebody.
He's a retired police officer, he's already trained.
Oh,
yeah, the idea is to hire, in this particular case, we're hiring a retiree to just fill
You might
in.
even know.
His name's,
Hopefully.
yeah.
yeah. So he would come in as a Class 2.
You're not hiring them to.
This is a Class 2, already trained. We don't have to pay for training and things like that.
He's a retired police officer from Houston.
So we can add him to the council meeting for,
It's a special.
as a Class 2 special. Yeah, and then we'll put him on that then. Okay, because I don't think we have him on here, do we? Oh, we do, we have a special police officer.
I don't have any names.
Okay. Was there anything else that you wanted?
That's pretty much it.
Okay. Anything else for the chief?
Did you get a letter of intent from the officers that are retiring? Rich, did you send them a letter?
We are still gathering. We're still gathering information from the state website because they have retiree checklists. They have the ones for public employees, and when you click on the ones for police and fire, it says updating, will be available soon. So I wanted to have the full package together when I give it to them, not to tell them that it will be available on the web. So we're just waiting for the state to update their website, and those letters will go out. And they'll go out to basically anyone that's eligible for retirement, just so they know what the process is, as we discussed, so they know who to go to and how to get numbers if they're.
What's the time frame on getting those letters out?
The letter could be done in a couple of days.
Okay.
And again, I just would like to make sure that the state website is updated first, so that we have the revised checklist for the police and fire pension fund.
Okay. An issue came up on the lockdown procedures at St. Teresa's. I did send you an email on those special locks that they have to purchase, and Father Joe is a little confused about the issue. So exactly.
It's not mine.
It was my understanding that Chief Laverty and Officer Murray were supposed to meet with him and try to come to some agreement on just what he should do. Have you any information on that, Chief? Okay.
Is there a timeline that they have to do this? Is it required?
Church is really interesting. I mean, I've talked to the prosecutor about it in the past. Because in the beginning, when they started all these lockdown procedures and all these different policies that they presented, in lieu of what happened in Columbine, when this one all started, they were like a little hesitant to act on a lot of stuff. And there's really nothing that they can do, from what I understand.
Okay. Well, then
I
we'll
think
wait.
they can say, no, you know, because the state really doesn't control it. I understand. The prosecutor at the time was going to send a letter to the diocese and see what he can do about it. It's got that.
We'll wait to hear and see what happens.
Well, let's wait and see when Chief Laverty and Danny talk with Father Joe, maybe that will get him
Okay.
on the page.
Okay.
Motivated.
Was there anything else?
Uh,
Okay. If it's something with your committee, you can still report it. We just wanted to.
Yes, I just wanted to thank the chief for getting that report to Ms. Passio for the seniors. They really, really appreciated that. That was great. That was great.
Okay, thanks. All right, thank you.
That's it.
Deputy Chief Laverne, did you want to come on for a second?
The two issues that I think that they have questions are the appointment of the part-time emergency medical technician, which is on the, I believe, on the agenda today.
Yeah.
Ryan Fisher, business administrator, has the application and will get it back up to the board.
And this is someone we want to put on for the February meeting?
Yes.
Public safety, you.
We did discuss this at the tour, the night of the tour. We did discuss it. You have it in the copy of my report, so does Ms. Passio have it. And we also received the short-term, long-term report. Thank you for that. The Finance Committee will be looking at that. I did see the Jaws of Life, which was very interesting, purchased from North Carolina?
Virginia.
Virginia, and brand new Jaws. And you haven't heard anything on the grant for the fire truck?
No, actually, we met with Rich Mellon today. We have to ensure some paperwork, but we're in the process of doing that. So everything's moving forward. No denial letters have been sent yet, so that's what we want to do. We want to go positive, but the negative is also a good thing. The only other thing that we have to discuss is on the agenda would be the approval to go out for advertising for the ambulance. Specification should be done the first week of February.
So we need a resolution authorizing the committee or the.
The advertising.
Just authorization.
Just authorization?
For the clerk to advertise for bids.
Okay, we'll put that on it. I think that's it, you know, just to let you know, I mean, this motion was put in motion last year. We approved the money's sitting there. The process takes a little time, you know, the bid, and then we think that even the earliest we'll get the ambulance would be
July,
so it's a long process.
When I did tour the firehouse, I did see the old ambulance that this will be replacing. What happens when that new ambulance comes online? Does that old ambulance get sold or auctioned?
It's
'Cause
part
I
of
know-
it's part of the bid specifications for a trade-in.
Oh, trade.
Okay, and then the EMT, everyone's in agreement, but the EMT, as long as, Mr. Wright, if you've done it, everything's fine?
Is that correct? Two of them will be?
One now, and then we still have to interview the second.
What's his name? Ryan Fisher?
So approve one?
Yes.
Okay.
For the rest of the committee, just to expand on what the chief had discussed previously, the way we utilize the EMTs, it's the pool. So if you're gonna have two scheduled for tonight, it makes the pool greater. It won't increase the number of personnel. So it's not really a cost issue other than the hiring process, so, and uniforms, so.
Yeah. Anything else? That's it.
Satisfied?
Thank you very much. Okay, we also have Kathy Descendant from the library board.
It was asked to come speak on a number of issues. One of the management of the gym and the facility down at the Heritage Building. I have to admit that I'm a little confused. And I'd like to start to think back about where this all began last summer. I believe I was asked to do something I was charged with looking at the project, seeing what it would take to accomplish the project and what it would cost. And I believe I've done that. I've turned in several ideas and proposals, and all of which have essentially been rejected. So I think my question to you is, what is it you want from me?
Well, let me just clarify that, not necessarily rejected. You know, council, one of the reasons we asked you to come this evening is because now you're looking at the entire, majority of council is here now. So for us now to act, we're going to act as a group. So even though your meeting with myself and Mr. White may not have seemed a positive, because as finance, we're looking at one aspect of it. Ms. Moore is looking at it in a different aspect. Ms. Kelly's looking at it, everyone's looking at it in a different aspect. So now that we're now, our first caucus meeting, we understood that this was an opportunity for us to ask some questions and at least to talk about it a little bit. And more than likely, it'll move now to a committee. Probably the Public Works Committee, because I think that's whom you've been working with the most. And then once we can establish what we're doing with the building, and then I think it becomes more of a finance issue and a procedural issue on how the building is run. I think that, and I don't mean to speak, and I'd like to let everybody else speak, you know, obviously what you've done for us is you've given us, you know, almost 5 months now of supervising the building and managing the building and seeing its needs and its deficiencies. And so we now have a much better understanding of what goes on in the building. We understand that we may need to even adjust our fee schedule, which we didn't discuss with you, but this is something that myself and Mr. White had talked about last year when we first made this agreement with the library board. So that's something we have to look at. Our concern at this point, my concern at the time, was to get us through the bulk of the work, which was until the end of basketball season, which is the bulk. There's the bulk, and there's still work that goes on even after that. We all know that there's more things. So I think what we can do at this point is agree to, and I think it probably should fall under Public Works Committee. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
You know,
She deals directly with Nick Ritz, I mean, and absolutely, when
I would
somebody.
like to hear Kathy talk into the position of having to supervise public works employees. And it's not been a pleasant experience.
Then I'll take that off of you, because if that's the situation, then convey it to me, and I'll convey it to them, because quite honestly, if something doesn't get done.
Frankly, I was told, and I'm seeing that, I'm hearing that there's an issue with this. I was told to report to Rich Wright any issues in the building, any damage, anything that needed to be repaired. And then I also told Nick Ritz, so I'm assuming that you two are speaking to each other and then organizing a way to get that done. So.
Correct, and there was no process, so we're actually working on a process, not just for the Harry Williams building, but for borough-wide.
Right.
For both yourself and for council to express a
I appreciate
concern
that,
that will be
yes.
dealt with, so.
But it would be helpful to me if someone would respond to me.
Right.
At
Well, I
least,
think that
okay.
when we first
Yeah.
come up with
It's
the
been
email
months
process,
now.
that you're going to, for specific issues, you're going to email Nick and CC me. And
Well,
some.
Nick doesn't answer his email.
Right, well, we
So
just got,
he
I
gets
found
text.
out that he didn't have access to get them from his phone, so we worked on that.
he does have a phone now that he can now respond.
The only thing he responded to was texting, so I emailed you and texted him.
Right.
And so now we're determined to email him and CC you.
No, we will go over how to communicate once we determine what we need to communicate.
Okay.
And in the meantime, you can either email or call me.
That's fine.
And I think it's a question of whether it's a short-term need or a long-term.
Mhm.
If we're talking about doing rehabs in the bathroom, that's going to go through a budget process, and all the emails and proposals and everything have all of them in the budget book. And I think that's why Nick said,
Well, in the past 4
Process
weeks,
Public
the
Works.
toilets and the urinals have broken down 4 times. So you need to bring in someone on the weekend to turn that water off. And no one ever goes back to finish it. So the urinal is still broken and still got tape around it. And
I noticed that.
whatever, you know, like, that's the process, but,
Well, we're making a
when-
capital
when you
improvement, it's
asked
different
me-
money though.
right, when you asked me to do this, you asked me what I needed
Yes.
done in the building to make it work. And I know it's a slow process, I understand that, but I don't seem to be getting any response.
Well, what I would like to
If you
say,
tell me it'll be done 6 months from now,
well,
I can live with that, but
Fine.
it's the not know.
what I would say then is that the Public Works, now we have a director of Public Works. We have a full-time director of Public Works.
Yes.
So Ms. Moore will be able to,
Part-time director.
part-time, part-time director. I think between Ms. Moore and as working with the Public Works, they'll get done. The CFO still his responsibility is to sign off on all money that's being spent. So operational money, we can spend it. Actually, I know it sounds counterproductive, but we can make repairs much quicker than we can make a capital improvement.
Well, and those are the things I've been presenting to you.
Capital improvement.
No, repairs.
Well, then repairs, we have to, put it through the process. Now, I did recall one proposal where it was redoing the entire bathroom, so that would have been a capital improvement.
But if you look at the price and what he was gonna do, he was repairing the broken seals and.
That's different.
So-
Did you want to, Patty, did you want her to have, was there something that you had expected, something before Ms. Moore takes over, or?
No, I'm just,
No, I was asked to come and speak about the community garden and clean communities. So after we discuss them, maybe I have a few minutes to do that.
Okay. Did you want to add anything with
well,
this?
I have no problem with you communicating with Nick or you, but somehow I need to be in the mix of this, because quite honestly, I've had no issue with anything that I've asked them to do. When you presented the original list to me, I forwarded it to John Gunn, who was still in at the time. They were right on it, they took care of it.
And
So it
that
was
is
nothing.
happening.
Right,
But
it's just,
But I got the gym, we don't have an agreement in place.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, somebody's referring all the senior center problems to me as well. And then I found myself in the position of supervising those.
Do you know who
things.
referred the?
I do not, but I was getting phone calls about issues in the senior center, and they told me Borough Hall referred them to me.
Yeah, I did poll every employee, and no one said that they had done it.
No,
But I don't doubt that you got phone calls. Yeah.
Okay, Meister, I don't think Meister my problem. I don't think the senior center was my problem. That wasn't you. That was last year.
I agree with that, and I think that there's definitely a misunderstanding on multiple fronts as to where we were, what we were doing, what the intent was, and some of it was even kind of commingled together with the proposal for, the contract that was presented versus the ongoing,
Right.
prior
And
recreation
we had an
agreement.
agreement from September 1st to December 31st, and there is nothing else in writing
Right.
or even agreed upon. We've only been in the discussion phases, and we're a month into it, and people want to get paid.
How can we move on that?
what do we need to do?
What do we need
get
to
something
get
in
that-
place to really,
I think we need to meet as a committee
Yeah.
and determine the direction we're going.
It can't be myself and Kathy
No.
talking, it has to be a committee. And I would say that myself representing finance, when I'm on the Public Works Committee, so the three of us could easily, Ms. Passio could be there, the three of us could meet with Mr. Senda very soon. I'm assuming you're representing the entire library board, and that, so that's fine, that's good enough for me. And we would have an agreement like we did last time, where council approved it, and it went to the library board, and we could move forward.
You still haven't worked out the issue with the rental.
Yeah, that
Now you're gonna cut into, so you're taking money from somewhere else.
Well, I think one of the issues that we've addressed at this point was that there were deficiencies with Public Works' management of the property.
Exactly.
And maybe it wasn't defined well in Public Works, that they were supposed to do a certain amount of things. For the past 12 months, Public Works, I guess maybe it wasn't very clear. Once Ms. Vacinda started managing it, she developed a relationship very quickly with them, and the building started to look better. The doors were always open on time. I think if the chief of police was still here, he would say that it's helped the police department, it's helped the Public Works department. And now we've had 4 months to evaluate it, and I agree with you 100%. Yeah, and I agree 100% that we have to look at the fee because there's going to be a cost.
You gotta look at, so you're based on the cost, where you think the cost.
Well, that's one of the reasons we weren't able to move very quickly. I think what Kathy didn't understand was that I could not unilaterally spend the borough's taxpayers' money. And so for me to have this conversation was a preliminary conversation to bring back to the council. And where we're at right now is we've had some preliminary conversations. Now that we've got a Public Works Committee and a director, it can get to that level, and hopefully very quickly we can act to resolve
I'm
this.
not asking for anything outrageous, I'm just asking for something that's fair.
Oh, I understand that, yeah.
And I just wanted to.
But I think what Mr. White's saying is, there's gonna be a cost to this.
Yes.
And he's right, there's gonna be a cost to this,
And
and
we're already incurring the cost, if you don't mind my saying. You were already paying people to do this. They were not doing their job. So you've come to me. And I am doing the job.
yes.
And they not only did they stop doing the job, they did not take a pay cut, and they got raises.
I think they're two
I
separate things.
think that's definitely.
They're really not, because the library is always left out in the cold. Now, when I asked, why every other director in the borough got raises, why I didn't. I was told I'm not a borough employee. So some rules apply to some people and not others, and that is really not equitable.
Doesn't the library board determine your pay?
We are stuck in the budget. We are stuck with the allotment that we are given,
Okay.
period. That's all.
But pay is determined by the library board.
And I accept that.
Okay.
But you can't ask me to do something else beyond
I
the scope
agree
of my
100%.
job for not a fair price.
Yes.
I give my time away, I'm sorry if I sound angry. I give my time away because I'm passionate about what I do. My husband, it
Yeah.
sounds funny, but he allows me to do that job because I love it. you know, we could certainly use more money, but I'm happy.
Well, I think I can talk to this
I'm
board,
not
we support,
taking on another job for free.
we support what the library board and what you specifically have done. We just need the opportunity to define it a little better, define what Public Works is going to do for this building, how we're going to fund this project, and what is expected. So these three different facets have to be worked out. And I appreciate tremendously that you've continued to do this even without what we would call without a contract, which we have many people in the borough right now that are working without contracts.
Well,
So it is similar in that
It's
sense.
just that every time you talk, the price goes down, you know.
We have a new committee,
Fair negotiation.
then I will say this to you, Kathy. You have a director of public works, you have all these other people. This is who you need to start talking to. It's not me.
And I
It's the
also
group of us that have to work as a
like
team.
you to know that every proposal has included not money for the staff, but improvements to the building. Those are the things that we're really
Yeah.
concerned about,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Right, and if I may, I want to just clarify one part of what you said, because we do have some new people here, and I just don't want the wrong interpretation. When the specials were assigned to open and close the gym, they were hired to do that, and we're talking years ago.
Right.
So either if they weren't hired to do it, then they weren't getting paid. So, I mean,
Well,
but we still have
my
specials
impression
controlling
was-
the neighborhood, so I mean, I just want to make it clear that there's not people that didn't do their job that are still getting paid.
Well, I thought the
That's a
police were
misinterpretation.
responsible for going back and closing the building and turning off the lights.
I think the police would disagree very much that
That's-
their
that's not
responsibility is to
what I
open and
was
close the
told.
building. I'm just saying that I think that they
They
would
were
have.
responsible for opening and closing the door, but I think what
It was
Rich is
assigned to
saying
them,
was
but they never
assigned.
took ownership of it.
Yeah.
I think they were told to do it by a director, and
Okay.
it did or did, well, because
Well,
if
let
they're
me tell you
supposed to
that
be,
when
well,
I'm-
let's back up
when
for a
I'm
second,
in
just
this-
one,
when
can I
I'm in
answer
that
that?
space, closing the building, the police are driving by. They're using public vehicles
Yes.
on public time,
Right.
and really, there's no reason why they shouldn't be back there.
But
closing
if
it.
there's a basketball game scheduled for 6 o'clock, and you have people, 100 people come into the game, and an accident happens, and all the hands are on deck at the accident, that gym's not gonna get open. So that was always their concern, that when they have the time, it was okay, but they couldn't guarantee if they could be there.
Well, that may be a place.
And I'm not really trying to defend them, because I wasn't here when that agreement was
But
in
that may
place.
be a place where we can work together,
Right.
because we are in the building, we will open it, we are
Right.
there. So that could work out, someone could come back and lock up at their leisure. You know, it's better to lock up at 11 than not at all. You know, for many, many, many years, the lights.
But we don't want to go into this too much, that's why the
the
committee has to talk about this, because, and I don't mean to, but even your example that the police come back at a later time, if they're not there when the rental leaves, that renter now becomes responsible for that building, for that time when there's nobody there.
There's someone who walks through the building every day.
But they need to walk, but they need to be there when the person leaves. At least that's my opinion, because once again,
Yeah, I agree.
Kathy,
There's
we have
something
only
else
2
to-
hours to go over this, and we have to go through the whole thing, so I appreciate it. We wanted you to come here and talk, but we've decided at this point that it's gonna go to the Public Works Committee, and I think we should have a meeting immediately in the next, at least the next 5 days, to at least start moving in this direction, and I think we have to also look at the fee schedule, and I think we also look at a procedure issue.
That's fine.
Email me, let me know what day's good for you, and I'll get with Nick and we'll figure something out.
That's
We'll-
fine.
Now, did you want to talk a little bit about clean communities and green team before we move on, because we have a full agenda?
I'll do it quickly. I thought that we had a plan, the green team has a plan. I thought maybe it would be helpful if you knew what the plan was. We have been trying to buy recycled trash cans for the borough for me, 13 months. Okay, every month we sit down, we talk about it, everybody has this idea of what they want to do, and it never goes anywhere. It's left to John Gunn's devices to do this, and it never happens. So it's not only, and I don't mean to start complaining about other years, but there have been 4 other cleaning communities directors who are telling me the same thing, that they presented a proposal, the exact cans that they wanted, and nothing ever gets ordered.
Okay.
So I brought it in order to Borough Hall, and then I wanted a voucher, because I was told that there's $10,000 in clean communities money, right?
Well,
Well, there's 13,000 available. The
Okay.
question is how it will be allocated.
Okay.
And you have a very good question, and I think this whole, every category we're talking about so far,
Yeah.
we're thinking the way it was handled under prior directors, meaning directors of the department, And I think in all fairness to Ms. Moore, she has a much different opinion on how things are going to be done. And I think that we need to give her the
So
opportunity
is
to
this a
address
public
these
works
issues.
issue?
This
Clean
is a,
Communities has always fallen through
And
Public
if
Works.
it's, if you
And
appointed me as Clean Communities Coordinator, what
Right.
is my responsibility? Am I just to fill out reports, or am I supposed to help make this community clean?
yes, but when you're going to, that's what you're supposed to do, but when you're going to spend money, you're going to go through the Public Works Department. Because the process, there is a process on how we spend money.
Do you know what that process is?
No, but I have a question in regards to.
She's
only-
been, Borough, she's been a
That doesn't matter, I
director.
still have a vision of whatever I wanted to have accomplished, even when I was Clean Communities Director for only like a hot second. My question is why is that money put into Public Works? That's my question. I just want to know if it's allocated to be Clean Communities money, why
Right.
does it fall into the Public Works budget? That's my question.
Not necessarily into their budget.
Okay,
In order to get a check at the end of the day,
okay,
you have to have a purchase requisition,
okay,
and it has to go through an approval process.
all right.
And I can tell you that I don't have time to make it be the administrator's grant budget line and to manage it and supervise it and do what needs to get done. If that's what I'm instructed to do, I'll have to make that work. It's always fallen under Public Works, the same way that the public safety issues that are related to the police department would fall through there. They get their grants for the cops and things of that nature for clicking the ticket, for
Okay.
bulletproof vest. So Fred does the ones that goes after fire and things of that nature. So the grant, recycling tonnage, and clean communities are administered through the management, not necessarily through the budget of, but through the management of Public Works Department. And if we change that, we can change it and change the approvals in the computer system, and then we would have to find someone to be in charge of putting the stuff in and making sure it happens.
Okay.
But that's how it has been run, and we've had this issue in the past, even with the director, we've had this issue in the past with regards to, when I was given something, I gave it to John to put in, because John puts the purchase recs in for that department. So, and if you're not aware of that, then I respect that, and then we'll have to come up with,
We've been working on this for 13 months.
Well, we've only been in charge for 1 month.
I know.
And what I would say at this point,
But you've
Well,
been
it
here.
has been. an
it's the
issue.
first time that I've heard that there was a problem, so.
That is not true. That
This-
is not
this
true.
No, it is
Speak
true.
up.
This
Speak
has
up
been
about
an
this.
issue with me since 2010, when I became Clean Communities Coordinator. I came to you,
Right,
and I went to Clean Communities in Trenton,
Right.
and they told me exactly that money is allocated for Clean Communities and
Right.
only Clean Communities.
correct.
Obviously, you took it upon yourself to put it into Public Works.
no,
But-
not what
It
he said.
is still clean communities money. We can
So
put it
how
in whatever,
come-
we can put it in whatever
Wait a minute,
department we
wait a
want.
second, let me just say this. How come, when I came to you
Right.
in September, and you told me there was approximately $14,000 in Clean Communities money, and I came back to you in December, you told me there wasn't any money. There wasn't any money available.
I didn't say there wasn't money available.
You-
And if you're referring to this year,
No, I'm referring to 20. I have been asking for recycling cans in this town since 2010 as a Clean Communities, when I was Clean Communities Coordinator.
are you talking about the plastic cans, or are you talking about ones like the ones in the
I
plastic?
sat with you and brought you literature on things that were
I
compatible.
recall that.
Things that were compatible with the
Correct.
black cans,
Right.
okay? By December, it turned into green plastic cans with green lids on them, with a hole in the middle. That were wrong. I have email after email after email, so I know what I'm saying is correct.
Well, let me
Right.
But, okay, what I'm upset about is unless things have changed, you get Clean Communities money out of the Clean Communities grant, and she, as a Clean Communities Coordinator, can use that money. 25% of that money can be used for one piece of equipment on a machine. She can have she can use it for mini grants, she can use it for education, for signs, and you have my letter there. I wrote everything in there, okay, what a Clean Communities Coordinator does, and she has to fill out those reports. She can't sign her name to a report if it's not correct. If you're telling me that she has to go to Public Works for that money, how's she going to keep track of what she has?
Well,
Because we'll print out the budget status report for her. And also, the same way Nick started off by saying that he can't spend any money, no one in the borough can spend money at will. They have to follow a process.
Okay.
That's the
Let's
issue.
not keep that a secret. Let's find out what that is.
Yeah.
It actually is not a
Give us
secret.
It's not a
figure.
secret.
It's not, and here's what it comes down to, guys. We have to decide as a group. Our predecessors set up this process where Public Works managed this money through their ability to file a requisition. This is what it comes down to, guys, filing a requisition. Do you have the ability to file a requisition? You do not. There are only limited amount of people who have that ability to file a requisition. What we need to determine as a group, and Ms. Moore, I hate to bring you up again,
Go ahead.
do we want to keep it as a Public Works function so that Mr. Gunn or Mr. Ritz would generate the requisition? Now, what I would like to say is, I think it should be kept there. I think the difference between previous years and this year is that if the Clean Communities Coordinator and the Public Works Committee, under the direction of the director, says this is what we're going to buy, and the Public Works Director will understand the process, that if it's over a certain amount of money, and all the different purchasing requirements there are, you'll know that, because the process is a requisition must be filed. As Director of Finance, I will not allow something to be purchased that doesn't get a requisition. We've had many conversations about this just in this past 3 weeks, that the borough had a tendency to sometimes jump over that process. And you may be right, in the past, they did that, or they used it as a stop measure to stop something from happening. And I don't deny that those kind of actions went and happened to all of us when we were in different positions here. But moving forward, at this point, Finance and Administration does not want to take on the responsibility of that money through Clean Communities. We have a Clean Communities Coordinator. Most of the issues would work with the Public Works Department. We need to resolve the issue of when the Clean Communities Coordinator and committee want to do something, that the process is followed. And that is very simple.
Okay, so it's been kept in Public Works, the money.
It has not.
It has, where's the
It
money?
is just a line item on a computer screen that says Clean Communities money is a line item. But to get to that line item, you need a requisition.
No, you have to have authorization to access that
You
account.
have to have
Okay,
Well,
Which is under
okay,
Public
we've been
Works.
trying to get authorization for recycling cans. So
Fine.
why
Well, that's-
is it taking
if
so
we
long?
could-
I need to do it myself. I need to say to someone.
And will you agree to go through
No,
that?
I think that
Yes.
to
Go to
help
Public
clarify
Works
this,
Committee, and I'll make sure that it gets
to
done.
help clarify this issue, for you to have come in, and I'm not saying you did anything wrong, and say, hey Joyce, I need this PO for $4,000 for these cans. We were all surprised as to what you were talking about, but we were able to figure it out. And since it's over $26.50, we have to get 2 quotes on it. I mean, there's a whole process that goes with it. Plus,
Okay.
and I'm just saying, but,
It was 3,000.
well, I told you it was 3,000, but it's still,
3,200. I
but-
didn't know what it was.
but because it requires quotes, and
Well, but the thing I've been asking, I'm not trying to be difficult. I asked for help. Show me what to do.
Right.
And I can't seem to get that answer.
And I can't do anything right now because I'm so busy trying to make sure that the employees get paid and to turn over the new year. And it was a bad, I think it was in everyone's defense, that week was a bad week. And I think what needs to happen, and what I would expect to happen, is that the Public Works Committee is going to sit down and they're going to say there's, not just this year, but any year, if there's $13,000 available in this grant, and we're going to put X number towards this, and give me the 5 components that it's going to have, and the system will be set up, and that money will be available, and it will be almost seamlessly. And if you go to Public Works and they didn't put that rec in, then someone will be held accountable because, I don't want somebody dragging their feet on it. But what they need to decide first is if they're going to say, okay, and I'm not saying that it was misspent, because I disagree with that we are going to reprioritize how we spend this $13,000, and we will pick up the difference in the operating budget, and we'll have to balance the operating budget to cover that. I have no problem with that. As long as the majority of council agrees with that, or the committee, and says, this is the direction.
That sounds awful.
But the direction in the past was different, and unfortunately, I follow the will of.
Let me just ask you that again.
Right.
Okay, what you just said.
Correct.
Whatever we spend from that grant money has to
Right.
be covered somewhere else in the operating budget.
If it exceeds the $13,000.
But you
No,
can
no, no,
also
no,
use-
no, no, what I'm saying is if you are going to come up with a whole new plan, which is fine, for the Clean
But you're-
Communities
but you're
allotment,
already using it.
that, what that money has been
Yes.
earmarked for in
In
the
the
past.
past, we have not done the 2013 budget.
But you already have things that you do with it every year, and I don't want to encumber the taxpayers.
Well, that's what
But
I
that's
think
our
that's what the
decision.
council has to understand, and that, once that's worked out, then you will have the hiccups. So, and that's why it had roadblocks in the past that might have been attributed to me, but were directions that I was given from the director.
You know, that I don't sit on council, and I have no idea how to do this.
Right.
I know how the library operates.
Right.
So I appreciate the explanation. And
I just learned that too, because I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't understand, and you're saying, what about tonnage?
She can also, Clean Communities can also use tonnage money.
But the tonnage money gets, anything we get from recycling, that gets into the budget. Doesn't that get?
Well, no, we
worked?
also have a grant
There's a
also.
grant
There's
So,
a grant.
But what I think there's
and
Well,
again, there's been
Well,
historical
what's that?
earmarks for both of
Yes.
those line items that,
That's what
It's about
everyone's
1,600.
missing the point what Rich is trying to say. The borough's been around for many, many years, and certain things have become the norm. If we, as the group, decide that we want to change the priorities of this thing, we have to decide that. We're not even started the 2013 budget because we haven't finished 2012. It's only been January. We need to close out 2012. So if we decided that 13,000 or maybe 3,000 was used to put brushes on the street sweeper, if we as a group decide that we're not going to use Clean Communities money to put brushes on the street sweeper, which we've done since we bought the street
well,
sweeper.
the thing is, they've been asked, tell us what you need first. You take what
Who's
you
this?
need, the public works.
But they don't have a, I'm sorry, we make the decision, not Public Works makes the decision. Public Works Committee can make a recommendation of what they'd like to do, but if we make a priority that we think that Clean Communities should be spent for all this, you're right. If we take $3,000 from Clean Communities that we were using for brushes, and we don't do that anymore, you're right, 3,000 has to come from somewhere else. And that's the responsibility of this council, to decide where that money goes. So Public Works can make their recommendation, Clean Communities Coordinator can make their recommendation, but it has to go through the council and the procedure to pay for it. Was there something else with Green Team or Clean Communities you wanted to?
This part. I did want to show you what we had in mind for the, we thought if we took the Harry Williams facility, ball fields and the gym and everything, and turned it into a recycling center, it would start to send the right message.
Okay.
So what we were looking at was color scheme, cans for inside and outside. And I just wanted, let me just show you real quickly, okay, what we had in mind. If you look at this chart, all the box, these are the cans that exist.
Yes.
And these could be easily taken from here and used somewhere else,
Absolutely.
such as Green Acres or
Park, yes.
a bike path. And what we would like to do is put in place 2 of these for every one of these concrete things that we need.
Great.
So we have recycle and non-recycle. They met all the criteria. They're metal, they can be bolted to the ground, they're American made, and this company has the license for New Jersey.
So you were thinking 4 sets?
And it's
It's actually gonna be
$673.99.
5 sets. And I thought if we did it in phases, we could afford 1 set and get this started. Okay, and then phase 2 would be, or you can reverse it. Phase 2 would be putting in this can, which I really like, blue and the white, around the inside of the gym, the outside of the gym, maybe down at 3 acres.
Okay. Do you want to explain the phase 1 and phase 2, how that might be a problem because they're the same item and the combined amount would exceed the threshold? Does that count in this particular case?
no, we have quotes.
If we have quotes, do you understand?
This is the company that they're the only ones that sell this particular
Okay.
item. The price was good and it met all the criteria. These are available at Lowe's. They're about $100 a piece. Instead of putting all kinds of fancy things at the ballpark, one of these and a regular trash and a recycled trash could go together to all the fields. And then when they're finished, they pull them up front.
Yep.
And
I think that looks
holes in
great.
the top. They need to get holes in the top and the bottom. But that's something that.
Okay, but they do have, okay, they have.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that's a big thing, because we had a ton, and not to bring you into this, Maria, we did have a ton of recycle cans down at the ball field, and they ended up just being trash cans. It didn't make a
So
difference.
you put a blue recycle, everybody knows what it is, goes with the trash can. the appropriate can, one set of each.
And a procedure will have to be made on how to dump these, and this is where Public Works would come in. Because you can't just put recycling cans up without having a plan to dump them, so.
And that is.
Was there another page, or?
No, that's.
Do you want to show the audience, because it's very nice?
Sure, thank you. And then just give me 2 seconds for the garden, and I'll.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the plan that we had in mind,
See, the
putting these containers
Bring this
in place
very
in a
quick.
single concrete.
Get a
So it would
requisition.
be 5
Done.
sets.
And these could be ordered within 30 days.
And
All we need is a procedure.
I'd like
You
to,
can't-
this can for the
you can't,
inside,
we
the
can't-
gym,
we have to
and these,
follow the
we
procedure.
could
I
get
think
like
what
6
we
more
need to do
for the
is-
ball
is-
fields.
is
We have a
the question we
recycling
should
can
ask
and a trash
Before
can.
we jump to
And
conclusions,
then
or
each field could
go
have
rush
both.
something, we should
And
slow
then they can
down.
all be
the
brought
cadence.
forward when it was needed. 'Cause these are pretty big and they probably would hold whole weekends for the stuff. Okay? Okay, thank you.
Very good, that was great, Kathy, thanks.
And we were thinking about also maybe a sign here, recycles,
Very
it could be on this side of the building, it could be across the street.
Good looking sign.
And then the garden. So, can I get a few things out?
Certainly.
This is the overhead that Ed got for us. I don't know if everyone is aware that our garden is going to be behind the Lux Bakery.
Yes.
Community garden. Is
Somebody
there
You want to take that, Fab? and,
take-
You want to come around, you have to point at things, or? Yeah.
This is the space that we're talking about. This is the Lux, this is the old hockey field. So this is the space we were going to utilize right here. So I have a slightly better drawing.
And how much, what's the measurements gonna be of the garden?
Let me show you. The section that we're going to use for year 1 is 20 feet by 37 feet. So this is actually right here. This is the space right here.
That dead end?
Yes. And my husband broke it down a little bit further, and he laid out some beds for us. So we would be able to set up 12 beds, 3 foot by 8 foot, and we were going to dig out the whole area, put fresh soil and compost in there, lay out the beds, and then surround the beds.
Are the beds
you
pressure
raised?
treated boards, is that what that is?
They may not be this year.
Like this outline of the, which
So we'll use wood chips from existing cleanups and use that to line beds. And so I
And
have
it's gonna be raised beds?
not this year.
Not this
Yeah.
year.
But the following year, there's a section here of blacktop. We're thinking of maybe doing an L-shaped raised bed, like a 3 foot high, 12 foot. People could rent space.
So this would be another thing that would fall under Public Works and the committee. Is there any cost? Is there any cost to this at this
Well,
point?
we have a $2,000 grant.
bring that to the topsoil.
Right.
There's some stuff they can bring the topsoil up there.
Okay, when they're cleaning.
Right, and you've made a commitment to figure out the water, right?
I already did that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So we're gonna use shredded, we'll use.
How are we getting water?
There's a little way.
He had a stick.
Last year, Bold School earned $500 for cleaning up with us, the environmental committee. They're giving it back to us.
Oh.
They're going to buy us 4 cold frames. So this will be phase
Nice.
1.
What is that?
Greenhouse.
Greenhouse.
It's a little greenhouse.
This will be phase 1, phase 2, we'll be building a greenhouse with recycled materials. So that's where we are.
Is there any security that needs to be done? Is everything pretty good right
Lights.
there?
We have a
What about lights at night?
We have,
We
Just
have
a temporary
everything
something like that.
down on it.
What about lights at night in case we have people walking up there?
There's no lights. There's no
I
lights
don't know
now.
any lights now, so. I mean, we can see what happens first, but I mean, like I just said, there'll be a small fence around it. and-
Yeah.
Yeah, see if it's
we'll
okay.
be on alert.
Sounds good.
We'll see what kind of animal issues we have.
Yeah.
So once again, Public Works.
We have
would
the
help with
marigolds that
backhoe,
we're gonna, kids are gonna grow marigolds.
So we can do pretty much all the stuff I just use. You talk to the back.
and just bring it
I can do
in.
that.
Sounds good.
Kids in the schools are gonna grow seeds, gonna plant seeds and grow marigolds so that they we put it all around. It'll be on natural pests, natural pest control, so.
Great,
Welcome.
thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay.
All right. Oh, Kathy, this is for you. I have. Well, do you?
We'll go right to the committee discussions, basically finance, personnel, administration, it's my committee. Basically, we are closing out the 2012 year. We do have an issue in the payroll department. We're down one person, so that's causing some issues with Mr. Wright's time. He's the backup person for payroll. So he's been handling payroll for the past month. We did bring in a part-time person just to work for a few hours to help out. I think everyone is aware of that. Personnel, once again, we'll have these two employees that the Public Safety Committee has approved. They'll be on for the resolutions to approve them next month. And then administration, we've started to have weekly Monday morning meetings where the fire chief, the deputy fire chief, the police chief, the administrator, the clerk, and then it's also a format for maybe even other departments to come in if there's a request that Public Works. The idea is that a Monday morning meeting to have an idea of what's going on for the week. Mr. Wright is council's point person, and I'm acting as council's. It's a council, so between the two of us, everything should get back to you guys. You have your committees, and so you're getting directly from them, but if there's something that overlaps, you know, we would be able to talk together and find out, like, when we, you know, issues with the borough hall itself, borough business and stuff like that. It's been nice. Some of the things that we've discussed were more of universal issues that affect all departments. We've had a lengthy discussion about requisitions, how we spend money. And that's why I'm very familiar with this process, why we're having a problem, not just with the clean communities, but with all the departments, following the procedure on how we spend money properly. And that will all fall into budgeting and stuff like that. Once again, our priorities of what that's going to be. Other than that, I would say that the committee has not had a formal meeting. We may want to squeeze one in, but I know, you know, we've all been very busy this past month. So at this point, we may not have one, and my report will be very simple for the council meeting, and then I'll let Mr. Wright do his. So health, education, welfare. Ed, do you have anything at this point?
I went to a couple of school board meetings. Nancy Ward, she's retiring. Ms. Gallagher, she's going to retire in the year. Well, other than that, just the green team. Pretty quiet.
Okay.
We talked about that the other day. I try to look at it as like the welfare of the town, not the welfare office anymore.
Is everybody?
It's not here. I hate that. Health education.
Health and education?
Health and education.
Ed, do you think that makes sense? Does anybody else have any
I
comment?
talked to him about it. I'm like,
Then we can remove that. We'll make an adjustment. It'll be just health and education.
that's my mark. There it is. That's it.
All right, anything else? Okay, public events, or excuse me, public safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. We did meet with Chief Deanna. I was present, Nick Kapanis, Betty Passio, and CFO Rich Wright. We discussed the new hire, Mr. Cobley, and I understand that that's going to be put before the council at the next meeting. We did also discuss the procedure for the retiring officers, Brown and Christensen. And at the time of the meeting, we have not gotten letters of intent. And to this date, we still don't have letters of intent. So we're assuming,
Yes.
we are assuming that they're going to retire, and you're going to be preparing.
And even if we send them a package, we could still be wondering.
Yes.
So, I mean, we can't force it on them, so.
Yeah. Chief Deanna received a letter from Father Joe regarding the handicap parking, and we did discuss that at the committee meeting. And that will go in as an ordinance in March, and hopefully that project will get started in June, and it will incorporate the handicap. We did discuss the lockdown procedures at the 4 schools, and one of the issues that Chief Deanna brought up was the fact that at the elementary schools, there's nobody at the doors to greet anybody. So anybody walking in, even though they get allowed in by the video, can walk wherever they want because there's no control of the doors, and that might be an issue because the schools are subject to surprise inspection by the state regarding their security procedures. This might be a problem.
But it would be the school board that would have to resolve.
Yes, Chief brought it up at the meeting because he found that maybe this might be a problem. I did have a conversation with Father Joe Gagnon about the situation with the locks at St. Teresa's. Now, Freddie and Chief, the Chief is aware of it, but Freddie and Dan Murray are going to be talking with Father Joe, see if he can come with that. Okay, the auctioning off the 4 police cars. Have you started anything on that?
That's usually handled by the police department, but I can follow up by next meeting.
Yeah, we discussed it at the committee meeting,
Right.
and there was some.
We're ready to go. I think that,
And there's the purchase of the 3 cars. Now, Chief didn't bring that up tonight, but when is that going to happen?
we were hoping that that would be done in the next 60 days, that we would put that out.
It's a budget item, so it's
Right.
not a situation.
Right. So basically, I think we're still on
So
track.
we'll be auctioning off the 4 cars and purchasing 3 cars, we think, within the next 2 months?
Correct. I think that we would be putting the order in for the cars. It may take a little bit longer for well, we put the proposal out, and then the specs will come in, we review them prior to the next meeting, but we should probably have them, if all went well, we could have the new cars in the lot.
And the purchase of 3 cars has already been authorized by council at this point?
We authorized it to go out to advertising, but I might even recommend that we authorize it at the next meeting, just because it's the new council.
And if you want to add that as a resolution, we should advertise.
Well, there were, Chief is thinking of getting the Dodge Chargers. I don't know where we're purchasing. I guess we have to go out and look at quotes.
Well, that's why we're doing the advertising.
Basically, what had happened is, again, priorities in prior years and tight budgets, they skipped years. So what we were looking to do last year was to do a 3-year lease purchase, which would have done a car from the year that was skipped, a car from last year, and then a car for this year, and we would have paid for it over 3 years. So we kind of, that first year that got skipped is kind of back there now, so we're looking to.
Are we on track, Rich? Are we on track?
I think that from a budget point of view, we can do this. There were some issues budget-wise at the end of the last year, which made us hold off, and I think we're probably just in doing so last year, just to make sure everything worked out okay. But we have done a lot of the due diligence. We had another town, I think it was Voorhees, or one of the other towns that had actually done this, so they gave us their specs, so we knew what we were looking for. There is state contract, but in order to use state contract, you have to pay for 100% of the 3 cars at the time of purchase. So the reason that we're going out for the bid is so that we can get 3-year lease purchase in the bid, because that would be required to be bid. So if we were just buying 1 car, we could probably just buy it, state contract tomorrow.
Did Chief talk to you about the Dodge Chargers that he wants?
Yes, and we had, that's what was spec'd in the other town, and they came out and they showed us their cars and we looked through them,
Yeah,
so
he said he really
like
liked
that.
it.
Right.
I did ask the Chief to supply Ms. Pasio with the activity for the month, and he did do that, and I appreciated that. And that was really my report for the Chief, Diana. But I did have an opportunity to tour the firehouse, and the director, I was there, Mike Kearney was there, and it happened at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was shown a newly purchased Jaws of Life, which are capable of cutting into the new cars that have additional bracing. That seemed to be a problem with the old Jaws. They couldn't cut into certain cars. So now with these new Jaws, and by the way, they are a beautiful purchase. I was really crazy. The Jaws. I had an opportunity also to look downstairs at their classroom. Have you been down there?
I have been.
It's quite impressive, it has the PowerPoint and all the things. And the night before, it was a full house. They were training EMTs to the do's and don'ts at a crime scene. Very important that that be known. And they had a full house of the EMTs trying to understand what happens at a crime scene and how they have to be very careful when they, So this is all in-house training. Michael and Chief Liberty do all of this training themselves. And I was impressed.
They are compensated for that, you have to remind you.
I know that, and they should be. And they should be,
Yes.
because they're very effective.
No, our fire department, all those men are well-trained and.
If you
they
haven't
run
been
that
to our
department
firehouse,
fantastic.
you have to enjoy the order and the spit shine attitude of everything in that firehouse.
Yes.
It's quite amazing. And then, of course, the chief came and spoke about hiring additional staff. Now, he said to me too at the time, but he's only going with one at this point in
I
time.
think they haven't done the final interview, is that?
Okay. That's it.
That's
Mr.
it?
President.
Okay, thank you very much. Busy month, public events.
Well, let's see. I did talk to Rich Ray briefly about wanting him to maybe get together and we can compile, or he can compile any and all data regarding all of the previous public events so that I can fulfill my job as director. But I guess I have a question too. My question is, how is the money appropriated, or what is the procedure for me getting money for public events?
I'll just stop for a second.
So-
We budget money every year for this. And I think what you're asking, Rich, to find out is the cost from previous years.
Yes.
So we can increase that amount or lower that amount, us as a council, if we think it is necessary. But as for the purchasing, once again, Rich, you can talk about spending money.
And this one is very complicated. Depending on which event you're referring to, in the past, and I don't know how this is going to be handled going forward, take for instance the 4th of July. Tony would have a list of vendors that he utilized to march in the parade.
Do you have that list?
And we do, because we have the purchase orders that have been done in the past. I personally did that one. So, and this is why I'm trying to cut back on these personal things that take a lot of time out of the budget. Obviously, I have no problem doing that. So I think he, and I would never know until maybe the week before who was going to be in it. And we had the bands that would march. We would do usually an advance check for incidental costs that you would get receipts for. We would explain that process and go to the director. And then the rest of it was covered through the Civic Association. So they actually did the asphalt. They did the collections there. They did costs that were associated that I.
And where did the Civic Association get their money?
Not
They
from
collected
the
it
borough.
from businesses, myself. and
Through
other
sale
businesses
of
that
ads
make
in the asphalt.
Selling
things
the
of that
ad,
nature.
Okay, but if we have an ordinance, then the business.
That was
Civic
prior to us.
Association-
That was
Yeah, I
prior to
know,
us.
but the Civic Association. all
Prior to
ordinance-
us, we now have to decide how we want to move forward with the Civic Association.
Okay.
That was prior to us, so all we can say is the process at this point was, Mr. Wright had a line item, he would get all the checks cut and pay the incidentals. The 4th of July, the actual Civic Association had their own checkbook for collecting money and spending money, which neither
It wasn't
Mr. Wright
wasn't our
or
funds.
any of the borough
We weren't
officials,
privy to that.
we were not privy to. Now, there is a borough ordinance that talks about the Civic Association. We can revisit that. As you know, that's the mayor's preview to, decide who heads that and stuff like that. So we'll have to talk about that again, as that's become, an issue now, how we're going to move forward. Okay? But the other events, did you want to talk about the other events for a second?
Right. Well, rework was one that we would do, just going off the head, 4th of July parade. There was the Safe Halloween Initiative, which is also has been married in the past with the Municipal Alliance Grant. And the Christmas parade / the Safe Christmas celebration, also at the community center, was, again, partially funded by the Municipal Alliance Grant. So, and there was a portion of it that, the bags and the stickers on the bags and some of the party papers, the messages and lollipops and food, drugs, and things of that nature, were in the top of the cupcakes and things like that. So, again, I was never, you probably attended the events,
Yeah.
other than just seeing my little snippet where the director would come in and said, this is what I need. I'm not really sure what other aspects, I don't know what Civic did, I know beautification committee, decorations and things of that nature, but I think the and some of it was tied maybe to recreation, so it depended on what specifically was going on that day. But you have a budget line, and as part of the budget process over the coming weeks, I think that the best thing to do, and I just asked if there was a calendar, if we have this calendar, expression of a calendar of events. So if you say this year we're doing these 5 items, and you can decide today from a cursory point of view what you think that's going to scale, and then when you get there, you expand the plan. But at least you know that you're going to earmark $1,000 towards this and $8,000 towards 4th of July, then we know how much money to put in the budget. And if you don't spend it, then that's money that gets transferred for other areas for projections.
You can give me a printout of everything.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so
correct. And
I
actually,
think I'll start with that.
in the budget books, we have them, and we'll have the detail at that time. If you look under that section, it gives you a 3-year history. So you'll see what was spent from a dollar point of view, then hover on the purchase order listing for each of those lines, and you can see specifically what was purchased.
What about Memorial Day?
I'm not familiar with that, if we did.
Some of
something
those
or-
might have been Civic.
They were civic.
Civic would have paid for those lunches and things like that, that wouldn't have come through our office.
What about youth mayor council?
That's our public events, that was through us. So once we run this list, you'll see all where all the money was spent. Now, I think what Rich is trying to say is that money sometimes comes from other funds.
Right.
Recreation fund, municipal alliance fund, and different things like that. You know, and once again, these are decisions that council makes. If we spend, and if you look at a 3-year, you'll see that some years council lowered the amount, other years council raised it. And we can even do, at the end of the year, transfers if we go over budget and within a certain amount of money, if for some reason we have to make an additional expense.
Okay. All right. So then I'll meet up with you, I'll call you. And
I'm on public
we can,
events.
yeah, and we can get together and.
We should have a
I
committee
definitely want to
meeting.
see that.
I know.
And then we'll have, we'll get together
Not on
and
that.
start to work the process. Okay, I was going to discuss it about the green team. I just wanted to say that we are also thinking about Earth Day. So there's a possibility that we will have vendors. And it will be, we have a tentative date, and I do believe it's the 22nd, I do believe that. And it's possible that it might take place at Runnemede, so that's to be discussed, correct? Okay. And also, I do want to say this, that we have movie day at the Runnemede Library, and it's the second Monday of each month. And it's in regards to environmental awareness. So the films are in regards to environmental awareness. Our next movie is on Monday, February 11th at 6:30, and it's called Global Warming. What's Up with the Weather? So it's free, and you do get popcorn. So you just sit there, put your feet up, and you watch a really good movie, and then you want to go home. It's at 6:30.
Oh, 6:30?
Yes,
You
6:30.
can see it on the sign, the
And
sign is being
you,
utilized very well.
Yeah, it's 6:30. And you don't want to take your car home after you get done looking at the movie. You want to ride your bicycle.
All out there seem to be riding bike. I'll see if you're ready.
You
too,
You will
Okay.
see me on a bicycle. You will see me, yeah. You don't want to ride your bicycle, have all your lights and, yes, grow make sure we have that big garden, so we have our own tomatoes and all that. And then I just want to briefly say that as senior liaison, I attended the seniors' first meeting, and where Mayor Sis was there, and she, the oath of office was given to the newly elected officials. The new president of the senior club is now Eleanor Nolan. She has replaced Jane Krishina and Eleanor Nolan. Most do not own computers. Rich?
Okay. So remember.
Did you
About
ask?
8 or 10.
We won't be
About
communicating by email.
About 8 or
About
10.
seniors now?
And I know that they were very attentive to listen to what I had to say, and most of my information did come from our website, so, you know, it makes me really happy that we have a lot of that information on our website. But I'm hoping that maybe in the future we can discuss with the directors of each department that we could possibly get a newsletter together, because I think that would be so helpful. And if you look on the website, mostly every town has a nice newsletter
Yes.
that goes out. We could do it maybe 4 times a year. Okay. And then engineering's next.
Yes, okay, engineer.
Okay, engineering. I toured the borough with Mark Bayshore discussing possible projects, and they included, but not limited to, we took a tour of the upstairs of the borough building. Maybe give us some ideas. You can elaborate on all of this, okay? We went to the RYAA. We talked about what was on the wish list, which I know in talking to Ed that, you know, we always said Orchard Avenue, and Reed. So we discussed that. And also, I am picking out colors for the bathroom and the exterior block of the roof. So we'll have a girl touch. And yes, it is. It's very important. And let me see. And we're all proceeding with design so that both projects can be advertised for spring construction, which will be Reed Avenue, Orchard. And let me see what else I wanted to say. Oh, I also asked Mark to write up a proposal for preparing a road inventory of the streets in our town. And we would better be able to prioritize which street needs attention. And of course, we have to run this by our committee and council and finance and see if it's feasible. And Mark, you want to elaborate, I guess, on, or?
Well, his report is at the end, unless you
He's
want to
at
go
the
down,
end.
why don't you follow up?
When did the engineering construction committee meet to go over all this, to approve the stuff to go out for bids and all?
I told
So
you before.
You made these
I met
decisions
I met with
for the
Mark.
road projects without conferring with the committee?
Yeah, I did.
What's the decisions?
Well,
What page?
doing Reed, from Broadway to the end, and Orchard Avenue.
Wasn't that on your list?
Yeah, it was on the list, I mean,
last
but I
year?
didn't know.
It was on the list, and I walked
And
with
then-
Mark, and
no,
Mark said,
The committee, I don't know,
I
I
think,
think the committee would meet, I mean,
Well, I think
that's
that was-
fine, I mean, these are good roads to pick, but I didn't know, I mean, it was just one person's decision,
well,
or it was,
Mr.
two
White,
persons
wasn't that
decision.
last year?
yeah,
The
but
stuff
that's,
was
yeah,
done?
you get on last year's project, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, how much would it cost to do all 8 of those?
Well, no, I was just wondering.
Well, I'm
how you
asking
came-
you now.
I was going to ask how you came to the decision.
I'm asking you a question. You asked when the committee met.
A lot.
The committee did not meet. How much did those
To
8
do all
roads
of
cost?
it, yeah, I mean. you
It's
couldn't
in the
do all-
report.
You couldn't do all of it.
You could, if we wanted to go out and
But
borrow
we don't have that.
$2.8 million.
Yeah.
So I think we only have, what is it,
Well, the question was,
$640,000?
the question was, I didn't ask you. I said, who made the decision to go out for those 2 roads?
And you know that that's why we're having a caucus meeting today,
Yeah,
to
but
double check that
there's
he's
not,
going to have all
isn't there
these.
supposed to be a committee meeting?
It does not have to be a committee meeting.
Okay.
Did you have a committee meeting for health, education, and welfare?
No.
No. Why didn't you
I
have
went
one?
to one last year, I went to one,
Does it matter?
I'm asking a question.
There's only a certain amount of money that we have to spend.
Is there?
We're aware of how much money we have to
I know
spend.
exactly.
And on council last year, we
Well,
appropriated a
you go
certain
back
amount of
to,
money.
you know, like, you got the handicap rate program, you gonna do anything with that?
At this point, the director has authorized, or asking this council to authorize at next week's meeting. And it hasn't even been done yet.
Oh,
Has the advertisement gone out yet? Has it been authorized to go out yet?
they're doing engineering,
But that was started from last year.
engineering was done this year. The roads were picked. And then we had to decide which roads we were gonna engineer.
Okay. And that's what the director picked.
Okay.
Didn't you, as the director, pick roads last year?
And we met and.
Didn't you pick change orders and put sidewalks up where you wanted to put them up?
Where we put them.
But you decided as the director.
I picked it and everybody.
You did not ask everybody. I was on council last year. You never asked me that you were going to put sidewalks on different ones.
Committee.
Yeah, your committee. Please, Ed, your committee. Your committee didn't show up for the last 4 months of the.
I think this is why I took it upon
2020.
myself.
No, well, I mean,
Why don't we go into the engineer's report?
you know what's going on again, the end of Reed Avenue?
What do you mean?
Did you talk to the sewer department about the end? We gotta replace the sewer line at the end.
Okay, is that on the report?
I mean, if we can't, you know, we'd have a committee meeting and talk about it.
This is a caucus meeting, you're allowed to talk about it
That's
right
what
now.
I'm-
We're not voting on anything right now.
I'll
So do you want to make it aware to the
I'll-
engineer
I'll-
that there's probably a sewer line problem at the end of Reed?
There's
Well,
already
no,
been
it's just, there's like a lot of things, I mean, so I've seen you guys met, but I wasn't invited though.
Ed, you know,
I'm just asking a question.
You weren't in.
Does everyone feel
you
that
weren't in-
Ed
you
should
weren't
be on the
invited
engineering
to-
committee?
You weren't invited to that, but I did send you emails in regards to what I was doing. I met with Mr. Bayshore, we discussed, he took me for the tour, I took him for a tour, and I showed him things that I possibly would have liked, or would like to be done. That would be like my wish list, okay, since I'm the director. And in talking to him, he informed me that it's best to try to make a decision so that we can get the bids out early. And I said right then and there, go for it. And I told you that. And so it stands. And I will include you in every meeting.
Well, I'd like to make a comment. If Mr. White does not feel that he's a part of the group on the engineering committee, I would make a recommendation that he's not on the engineering committee, and that someone else is put on the engineering committee, or the engineering committee has 2 people on it. Because I don't think we should sit here and have a fight over it.
I'm not having a fight, I'm just asking a question.
And you know what, and I'm asking a question too, I'm asking this board, if we're already changing health education and welfare to health education, we have the ability to change committees at any time and change directors at any time. And this is a public meeting, and I'm gonna let them know that I don't think that this kind of back and forth is gonna work.
I don't want to go back and forth like this. I don't want to feel that uncomfortable in making a decision or,
I was just asking a question.
but, you know,
And if
we
you
work-
feel that way,
we're
wanna take it
fine.
off the committee, that's fine.
That's how I
we can work
Then take it to the
together.
vote.
Do you want to take them off the committee?
I can work with it, but I don't
Mrs.
want this,
Passive.
I can work with you, and you know I can work with you. You know that, we don't have a problem. I will never leave you out again of a meeting, but it was my decision, and I felt that I was,
Something
it
is
was
passive.
great.
But I'm telling you how I feel, if you don't think
I
this
don't
is
want
gonna
this,
work.
I don't want this bickering back and forth. If that's gonna be like that,
Okay.
then yeah, I will, then.
Well, it's up to you guys, you know.
No, I say you stay on it. I don't have a problem with you being on it. All, this is my input is, from this point forward, please include a minute. That's all I would say. Is that fair? Is that fair?
But I would say to
That's
everyone,
my input.
that these meetings right now, this caucus is an idea to discuss things, but this is not an interrogation.
Right.
No, I would say.
Neither
I would
from-
say- no,
Neither
I don't
anybody
think it was-
interrogating
I
It
don't-
anyone.
wasn't interrogation, I
It was a
asked a
question.
question.
Okay, but
And I asked.
But it's not just Mr. White, I mean, even all of us, this is not interrogating each other.
But if
at
it
this
happens
meeting.
again, then I would like you to
Well,
bring that
I
up.
hope it don't happen again.
No,
But I was
no, it
just
won't.
curious, because I have close contact with Mark.
You know, you and I were on council last year, you know that all this report was your fingerprints are over all of it.
But
You
I was
know
just
about,
asking-
you picked Orchard and you picked Reed.
I did.
When you picked Reed, did you make it clear to the engineer that there was a sewer problem at the end of it when you picked it last year?
I learned that from talking to people down there when I walked down there.
Okay,
And I haven't talked to Mark about the road project, because I know what was going on.
but this was October 16th of last year that the road project was
It was not.
picked.
And we haven't started with that.
Okay. You know, you're more than welcome to talk to, you're on the committee, you can do this, you know, but I just don't think we're gonna have this banner back and forth. I think it's not right. Okay? Is there anything else that Mr.
Wait,
Two things. I do not want Ms. Passio to feel that she is being put on the spot. And Ed, I think it was unfair of you to do that. Are you going to be like that at every caucus?
No, I'm not gonna be like that. You got all this programs that was done, and I had no part. I mean, it wasn't brought up.
Maybe we took it the wrong way. Did you present it in a very argumentative way?
I was asking a question.
It seemed that you were putting Ms. Passio on the spot.
I asked a question.
She's the director.
That's
She
fine.
is the
That's right, she
director.
is the director. And I was just asking a question.
I mean, this report was only generated today. I have not seen this report, is that correct? No one here other than maybe Ms. Passio has seen this report.
Well, it wasn't.
And that's why we're having a
Brought up
caucus.
This morning.
But that's why we're having a caucus, so that we have 7 days before the meeting to discuss things. You know, if you recall, last year, we did have things that were brought 2 hours before the meeting. I think we're trying to mitigate that problem by having these discussions ahead of time. And I think your concerns, as long as Ms. Patsy was okay with it.
As long as Ms. Patrick was okay with this being on the committee, I'm okay.
I'm not having a problem with that. I'm
I
not
just
gonna start-
don't,
I was
I just
asking a
don't,
question.
I just don't like your
I
attitude.
seen the report.
I don't
Okay.
appreciate your attitude.
I don't have an attitude.
All right, we'll move on.
You said-
Mr. Bayshore,
I
would you
just
like
have
to?
one, you said it's a drainage issue, or there's a sewer issue? Okay, sorry. I just
Okay.
wanted to know.
Mark, do you want to go over your reports and follow? We'll just change it next meeting and you'll follow the engineer.
I did submit a report to everybody. I have a few items, some of them already talked about, but, under general engineering, I did meet with the director, we talked about all 10 of the potential projects. There was a limited budget as we were provided by the finance guru. So we try and get a road, and there were certain items that fit in with roads versus buildings, and those two roads happen to fit into the budget. That's why the director put those. We did start the survey based on her recommendations, so we are hoping that we will get authorized, because in order to get good bids, we need to go out to bid as soon as possible. You mentioned June. I'm hoping to actually get out before then, but I just wanted to give you an idea of when we would be going out to bid for those jobs. We also, and I think Pat talked about, some short-term and long-term goals at the RYAA complex for baseball. So we're looking at doing some short-term fixes of potentially putting in sidewalks and having better handicap accessibility out there. So we're going to put together a little concept sketch and then see what we can do with that. And we're also going to look at long-term improvements. Is it possible to rearrange the fields, get a better layout? So we're going to look at some concepts there and report back to the committee.
Can I ask a question? I know you probably off the top of your head, but like there at the fields, like right where the concession stands and stuff are, is there a way to put like maybe a ramp or steps or something?
I think that's what he's going to address.
Is that what you're talking about? Because it's like such a
That was
problem
the
right there.
handicap
Okay, 'cause I
accessibility.
know, okay. I just wondered, I didn't know, I mean, I know the sidewalk thing going up the side, but I just didn't know if that was part of what was addressed.
That'll fall in short.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And also, we did submit a proposal today to do a road inventory. Basically, that will create a database that will rank the roads based on the condition of the roadway. And then we'll also have a cost estimate there, and to do a almost plan for like a 10 or 20-year process of how many roads you want to repair. We have a general assessment of the roadway. Basically, how the borough's been acting is we react to a problem road, and that's how we have the list of 10 here. But if you could prioritize roads and possibly get some mill and overlays thrown in there as a way of preventing maintenance and not wait until the road is totally in bad shape. So if you spend a little bit today, you save a lot of money tomorrow. And this inventory will allow you to prioritize, see the condition of the road. So right now, we just know there's 10 roads that are real bad shape, but you don't know the whole overall assessment.
Those 10 roads, they include the road that has the sunken in that we handed out, remember there was a sunken in road? Yeah,
You have a copy of this, right?
Yeah,
It's only on
Oakland's not on the
on page 1. Did you get a copy of this?
Oh, this is it, yeah, it's in the end.
Those are the original roads that came from the 2012 road map program and the money that was allocated because we are doing an ambulance, we are
Oakland
doing.
isn't, Oakland isn't on that?
No,
No.
we should put that on the short list for next time.
Well, I think the idea
It's
is,
horrible.
and Mr. Bayshore was just was speaking about was this idea of having a plan.
Yeah, from East Shanty to Plymouth Bridge, it's just horrible.
Do you have that proposal now? It's in here?
There. That's fine, thanks.
So basically, on page B3 in the back, that's the sheet we would fill out in the field. We would actually drive and measure the roads and just do a general assessment. And then we take that information and come up with an overall rating for the road. And we'll note the deficiencies of the curb and sidewalk, but the condition assessment will be based strictly on the road. But usually if a curb's in bad shape, it's going to be a bad range. And drainage counts, it's factored in twice here, so, once we complete that, we throw it into a database and we would, have a better assessment of the overall condition of the roads in the town.
How many men are working that project, walking?
After we approve, we have to approve.
It has to be
Yeah.
approved, but, I was just gonna have one engineer go out, he might have an assistant,
Okay.
but basically just do a general assessment. We measure the width of the roads, and then we get the overall length from the tax maps. So we're not gonna have wheel the entire 20 miles an hour.
I think it's 27.
27.
But it's probably one engineer, we thought it would be about 4 weeks in the field, and then 2 to 3 weeks to do the database.
So you gave yourself 8 weeks to get a little cushion. The proposal's B1 is the proposal. And I think the committee should look at that and then go to finance and see if it's reasonable.
And then moving on in my report, we also are closing out some current roads, the 2012 handicap grant program, and Reed Avenue, Espetadas contractor, both projects are substantially complete. They do have some punch list work, but we have leak. So we have better weather to do topsoil and seeds and stuff like that, so the punch list. Same way with East Third and East Second Avenue on page 2, both projects were done by one contractor, maybe trucking and paving. We have a punch list out there, but there's some items that require topsoil and seed over the spring before that can take hold. West Third Avenue project is totally complete, and I believe last month we did the change order, so that project will probably no longer be in your report. That's all done.
On Reed Avenue, that first phase that you guys did, if there's an issue with drainage, how does somebody report that? I can tell you right now. On the corner of First and Reed, there was never an issue on the, you know where I live? Across the street from me, now it floods something awful.
The problem we're having is.
I don't know.
Is because of the handicap ramp that's there.
That's exactly.
We have, DOT is following strict adherence to their rules.
Okay.
You cannot have it steeper than 2%.
Ah,
And
that's
we're
why.
coming up with issues, and if we don't build it that way, we're not going to get funded through DOT, and that was partially funded by DOT.
Okay, because it's weird, it's like I always had drainage in front of my house, now I don't have it, now it's across the street.
How long does it take for it to dissipate?
Pretty much, then when the water dries up, I mean, it doesn't,
But there's a puddle there.
Oh, it's huge,
It's
and
not
it's-
there a long time.
Not that long.
It's Derek Day.
yeah. Well, I don't know, it really, that hasn't been like a big thing, I mean, it's just like when we get a really bad rain,
Yeah, you get
it's,
that rain, it's cold, pulls up back into the rain.
yeah, the one with the wall around it, not the one with the fence.
Yeah.
That, like across from my house,
From
on,
her.
yeah.
So the rain is
No, not there, across from my house, the one across from my house, right there. Yeah, it's like right there in the front, it just seems, and it never was an issue before, so I just didn't know. And it's because, it is definitely because of the ramp, absolutely. I just wondered, that's all.
15 minutes.
Yeah, we gotta keep going.
Beaver Branch Park, we have 2 projects going on there. The soccer field project, the last thing to do is the irrigation well. We're currently reviewing the shop drawings provided by the contractor. They will need electricity out there, so that sort of is being held up by the bathroom project. So I'll move on to the bathroom project. Patty talked about, we have some color selections so that the contractor can order the block. We have a payment application that I submitted today for payment number 1. So hopefully the borough can look at that and get the contractor some money. They're trying to work out with the weather as best as possible. But the rain, they block through blocks the next thing to do. And as long as the temperatures aren't freezing, we keep moving forward. So the contractor is hoping to keep going, but obviously if we have one bad weather, we're just not going to extend the contract. But it will be done as soon as the weather allows us to do that. The 2011 road program, I've got to get together with Len on this. We're trying to close out a project. I can talk to you later about this, but we're just having a problem getting some contact or some information back from the contractor. We owe $16
have it on discussion, Vincent.
Okay, so, basically, we got one quote, it's a good quote from the contractor that's currently out at 3 acres. Depending on what council wants to do, we did try and get 2 other quotes, that were non-responsive, so we met the criteria of trying to get 3 quotes, but if you want to pursue and try to get, we can reach out to some other contractors. Revitalization phase 2, submitted some closeout paperwork, and I believe the change order will be on, so it's basically a $1,000 increase for all the work we did out there, it's just based on asphalt ponds that were installed.
That's online.
And the last thing in the report is just the underground storage tank out of the old public works building. Our coordinator with URI, which is the licensed site remediation.
Excuse me, Mr. Bishop, what's this underground, what?
There used to be an underground tank at the old public works building, and it was taken out a long time ago, but there's still some issues out there. So it's on the DEP list of actually bad sites that we have to clean up eventually.
Is that the only underground tank that we have in our possession?
We don't have that
We
tank
don't have
anymore.
it, it's the one up on,
Why would Borough has any more?
no, it's.
There are no more tanks.
No more tanks.
Because,
But we're on the list and we're gonna have to clean it up.
okay, is Jeff gonna give us any money on that?
I don't believe so.
Did they hint to you that they would?
Yeah, they would.
They said that if we still had tanks, they would give us $10,000.
We don't have tanks.
$10,000. We're gonna might need $500,000.
Hire a lawyer.
I'm thinking, well, maybe we can get some.
The Jeff has to,
So these issues will be addressed.
Right, and we're working, the borough had to hire a licensed site remediation professional. DEP is no longer monitoring the condition, they're subbing it out,
and we're paying a subcontractor.
and so they're working under us, and we're trying to oversee it, but we're working with everybody just to keep the site compliant, and we do quarterly monitoring and stuff like that, but eventually we have to get the site cleaned up.
Eventually, we're gonna have to do something.
We're working towards that.
Once we have a report telling us what to do.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop.
I don't know, like I said, I'll reiterate for council, if you want to boil this down to more of a summary format, so it's not just progress, but we at least want to talk about, working maybe the director, if you want to talk about closeouts or read, so at least the audience will have something from the engineer that gives them an idea of what we talked about.
Next month.
For next Tuesday's meeting.
Summary.
Yeah, summary format, not going, you don't have to go through the whole list. That's why we're doing the caucus, to kind of, if there's questions and answers, and then more of a general to the audience, telling what we're doing. Okay? Administrator.
I think that most stuff has been covered by every other day. First, I report progress.
Okay, you're allowed to do that on this one.
Forgot public works.
Oh, we're gonna keep you for last.
Yeah, thanks.
How about we do the solicitor?
Okay, we'll have ready for Tuesday this revisions for in the code, dealing with the code, the construction code official being changed to the code enforcement officer. There's 2 areas where we have to make that change, and also adding the zoning officer, changing some areas to construction code official to zoning officer as we requested. So we'll have that ready for first reading Tuesday. And just informationally, the mediation for CWA is scheduled for February 22nd at 11 o'clock here. The mediator's coming here.
And that'll be yourself and Rich, is that
Yeah.
it?
And who will they be meeting with?
The CWA is the front office personnel, the thoroughways and the borough office
They're
personnel.
I now believe we're beginning our 2nd year with, their contract expired 12/31, I hate these, 11, right? 11.
Yes.
And
We're in the second.
we've been in negotiations for all of last year, even in the latter part of 11. And I'm not going to give you specifics, I'll be happy to do that in an exec session, but we've gotten, I'm going to use the word resolution of 90% of what was discussed, things that we raised, things that they raised. And we're left with one issue. And we're in a line in the sand. Actually, we're in our second move in the line in the sand. We were in a line in the sand, moved a little bit, we drew another line in the sand. We came up with what we thought was something that was a reasonable compromise for that because of particular circumstances related to some of the employees in CWA and their longevity here in the borough, which we really believed was going to do it, and so far it hasn't. But I've told the CWA rep that that's the line in the sand, that we have no place else to go, that we've already moved much further than we wanted to move, so to speak. And in a broad sense, the important part of this maybe is throughout the negotiations, both with when we did Public Works, they're starting now with the fire people, we've indicated our desire and intent to be consistent. And we weren't going to ask something of you that we weren't going to ask of you. And we're trying to do exactly that. So we don't want to be put in a position where you settled, and now all of a sudden we kind of changed our move over here, and now that you're going to be very unhappy with us. So we don't want that to happen. We want to try to treat our people equitably, fairly, and I'm going to use a broad sense, equally. So that's where we are.
And I'll let you know, obviously, Rich and Len have been negotiating this since 2011. For us to, we had, the process had already started last year. This impasse, bringing the arbitrator in, started. And so at least let them have this meeting, and then they'll report back to us if there's some kind of movement in any direction. And this is not binding arbitration.
Now, this is mediation. It's step one. The mediator's goal and job is to try to get the two parties to voluntarily come to it.
Are you close?
We are close, but it
doesn't look encouraging.
No. No. I think that the borough moved, made it what I would consider a substantial move off what the last position was, so to speak. But it required a less substantial, but also a substantial move on the other side. And we only got one move. We didn't get the second move. The second move comes from us. I know that's vague, but I think.
Yeah, in a closed session we can discuss it, but, at this point.
I understand. I just wanted to get a picture because I know that we're in contract negotiations with the fire.
Well, fire just started, their contract expired, and we only had a preliminary meeting last year.
And they did mention that in the last meeting that we had at the firehouse, that
Well, I think
we're working without a contract.
Yeah, when we finally have a finance committee meeting, it'll be an opportunity for us to maybe go through that a little bit more.
For reference, Director, the police worked for 2.5 years of the contract expired.
Police work for 2.5 years.
It was 2.5 years.
The fire is very eager to resolve the issue. They want to just put it beyond them. But they like you said, they like everything ship-shaped and squared away. Not that the police don't, but they just want to
So that
put it
really
there.
shouldn't be a problem. The last one was very amicable, very, a couple of sessions, everybody got to hear where they needed to be. We got to where we needed to be in the short term.
And just to go back, if everyone recalls, one of the things that I brought to the table was the creation of a zoning official. And the idea is that the ordinance had combined our construction code official and the zoning official as one person. Now what we're doing is carving out the zoning and kind of marrying it with the code enforcement official, which we already have in the borough. And we've talked about that before, that this will allow us to do a better job of property maintenance issue. Changing the zoning ordinances, there's actually a discussion on here right now from the planning board, and this is something the zoning official would help us out with. Okay, Public Works, you get to.
Okay, well, on the 16th of January, I met with Public Works, the whole committee was there, and John Gunn was in attendance with Nick Ritz and Pat Moriarty. We sat down collectively. John Gunn has since gone out with a surgery. Well,
Yeah.
that's all. I'm not going to, really? I know about the HIPAA laws. He's just gone out. I have talked to him. He is recovering. He's waiting for some kind of response, whether he can come back on late duty, because that was something that he wanted to do. Since then, Nick Ritz and Pat Moriarty have been taking good care of things. With our two little snow events, there were no issues. Nick Ritz's words were, we did use a lot of salt. I did not get an exact amount, but we did use a lot of salt. But I asked him, I spoke with him today, and I said, did you get a phone call? And he goes, not one. I go, well, then it went off without a hitch. As long as you didn't get any complaints and my phone wasn't blowing up, then it was good. They did take care of anything that I suggested. We did have a water main break with the snow happening at the corner of 3rd and Bowers, which the water company came in, the police were there to make sure everything was under control. So the water company, they repaired it rather quickly because by the morning it was completely done, everything was taken care of. Then we had a snow event on Monday, and Monday we had a water main breakdown on Broadway by the library. That had access to the apartments, which was something they needed to take care of, so they did take care of that. And Kathy Basenda conveniently sent me a picture to show me that first thing this morning that was also completed, so they did work throughout the night, but they did settle all that. I asked Nick what his plans were for the coming week, if he could give me an idea. One of the trash trucks, this is just current stuff, one of the trash trucks, they were doing recycling. The east side of town got done today, the west side did not get done. They blew a belt on the truck, he's got the parts, he's going to fix it, so that will be repaired tomorrow, and they will finish the west side for recycling. Or not recycling, I'm sorry, yard waste, I apologize,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yard waste. They did do the east side, but they'll finish the west side. He also informed me that they will be doing brush cleanup and trash pickup along the bike path. They've got 3 guys, not the whole team, 3 guys going down there to take care of that section. So that will be taken care of tomorrow. And also, he also said that there were going to be, the floors getting done at the Borough Hall was on the short list for the following week. He said the hallways were all going to be redone. I'm not quite sure, he didn't give me an exact date, but he did tell me that that was on the list of things that were going to be done.
What we did in the past was, we have an agreement with the high school, and the high school has loaned us their equipment. And that's when the last time Nick and the crew came in, they came in the evening after everyone was left.
Right.
And then everyone left and did the floor, so hopefully it'll go.
What do you mean,
forward
shampoo?
a little bit.
Shampoo?
No, strip and wax the,
So he said in the next week or so the next couple of weeks, so they'll be taking care of that. But they're doing the bike path. We did have a slight blip with the Harry Williams building. They stepped up, they included the guy that I believe we're making a public works employee, that Tom Fowler.
yes, he's not on the list.
Well, he was on the
this
list,
year.
it's in there.
Oh, he is permanent
His
employee.
title is in there.
Right.
So he's gonna be on there for
He
the,
is, he did a great job. He came down, he stayed, he made sure everything was taken care of.
so you recommend that, so that's. a
Absolutely, I
recommendation, maybe.
definitely recommend that we should do that. He seemed really attentive, he was right on it, he took care of the outside of the building. Come the snow event that we had on Friday, Saturday morning, I mean, they've been, I have to say, I really have to commend them. I have nothing to base it on other than what I know as a resident. So they have been super responsive. If I shoot them a text or I shoot them an email, any one of them have gotten back to me like right away. So there was an issue, the Borough Hall was not shoveled on Saturday, the whole walkway was not shoveled. They came right up, I texted them, said, please take care of it. They came right up, they shoveled it, they salted it to make sure that it was all taken care of. And Bowers, because of the water main leak, was a sheet of ice from 3rd down to 1st, and they came out and took care of that. They've been very receptive. My plan is to try to, Nick gave me a list today of things that they're getting done. He's going to try to get an estimate for one of the trucks that has a damage on the door. And he's going to get that taken care of, so that we had discussed collectively as a committee about getting the trucks labeled with the Runnemede web address on there, on the truck, and getting the trucks numbered, so that there was not ever a question of like, we saw this truck, but we don't know who it was, so there'll be numbers on the trucks. And they were receptive to that. They were all in favor of doing that. So I would say I'm going to report progress that it's been really good. Plus, I got that part, that bus stop bench move, so that makes everything
I do have a question, is there
worthwhile.
any movement on, there's still a lot of leaves that have gathered, curb area and on storm drains? Is
I
there
did
any
give them a
way-
list of storm drains that I had personally just kind of, and as you and I have discussed in the past, I really don't want to be in a position that I'm micromanaging
Yes.
them to the point, but any feedback from anybody on council as well as any resident, I'm all for anything as far as that goes, because they do seem to be very attentive to it when I give them, this needs to be done. I addressed the issue with them. There was a television dumped down at Green Acres. This is just a minor thing, but there was a huge television dumped over the guardrail, and I addressed the issue, and you and I discussed this, Rich, and I said, they have a very myopic view of, you sent me down there to pick up the television. Well, around the television, there was so much garbage, they didn't touch one bit of the garbage, only the TV. So I said, we need to try to, and I'm trying to work with a way to try to make them see that there's not this tunnel vision only to what the item is that needs to be addressed. So if I can make them more aware of the storm drains, I gave them a list of 4, they took care of all of them. They didn't even blink. But as far as the leaf issue goes, no.
I mean,
No, they haven't even composted, they haven't even taken the Christmas trees yet.
Yeah.
They're still down at the Borough Hall as it sits right now.
I mean, this morning I went to work and there was a street sweeper doing Acme's parking lot. And I know that we have this issue.
Was it ours?
It was not
No, it
ours.
was not.
That's good, that's good.
But there was a street sweeper doing the Acme parking lot, and like I said, I know that when we go to plow, it's gonna pile all this stuff up. When the snow melts, it's gonna carry all the debris to the
Yes.
storm drains. And, you know, don't get me wrong, they've done an excellent job of maintaining certain storm drains that do back up. They know which ones there are, and they do have a list, and they go down there and do that. But I think that we did have issues with the leaf. We got it all done, but we didn't have enough time to really clean the streets up. And I still think that if we do get hit with a large snowstorm, you know, they do have time. During the winter, we're not cutting grass.
Correct.
We're not doing a lot of the other projects. So if we, you know, on the off weeks when we're not doing recycling.
Right. In my correspondence with John and my correspondence with Nick that I've had, which I'm sure they're probably so annoyed with me to this point, like, my God, it's her again. They have made it pretty clear that really Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday, Mondays with yard waste is a limited thing, but Wednesdays and Fridays are their gimme days, that they can do whatever needs to be done. So anything that needs to be addressed, they're very open.
But then
And
on the week that they're not doing recycling, there's 5 days.
Exactly, there's 5 days, and that's the issue.
See, there's 8
So
days
there's
that
no
are-
schedule.
Yeah.
They have nothing that, they have an idea of what they do, like Fridays, they empty all the borough garbage cans. Well, that doesn't take all day, so I have to try to get them to see that there needs to be something in play. But there's always a factor that can throw, you know, the wrench in the wheel kind of deal.
I just have one question, and maybe you can answer it, maybe you can't. We've had 2 water main breaks in a week. What is the reason? Why are these water mains breaking? Is it
Well, like I spoke to somebody else, it's just
It's
the
very cold.
infrastructure, it's cold, and it's just
Old
the
infrastructure.
town's old, they're old pipes.
It's not a, no.
Happens in New York City, happens.
We pay a
all over.
rent for the fire hydrants. We pay a
Yes.
very large
Very
fee.
large rent.
And then we do collect taxes, or at least the state collects taxes, and then gives it back to us, and what they consider state aid. There's this back and forth, but once again, you know, that's their infrastructure. It's
The
not ours.
infrastructure is old,
It got
and
very
we
cold.
will have water main breaks and from time to time. It just seems strange that within a week.
It was extremely cold.
Yeah, well, then once the weather falls, then you.
Oh, the thought.
I have one question too. I know on Wednesdays, they pick up, I don't know if it's small appliances, but I know like.
White goods.
Okay,
We'll
it's
do
called
white goods and.
Do they travel all through the town looking for them, or do people call them up?
It
or-
should be in that they are called. They're not, they should not be driving like
Yeah.
27 miles of town
Yeah.
road looking for them. Much in the same issue that we were having with the Christmas trees. People were saying, my Christmas tree's been laying outside. Well, they were picking them up on selected days. They weren't just driving around randomly looking for Christmas trees all day long. So,
Yeah, the procedure is they're supposed to
They're
call,
supposed to
and then it
call.
gets set up for a particular day. But one of the issues is, you're right, when they saw it, they run out, and it's
Right.
very efficient to
and
do
that's
that.
what I'm trying to work it to be a little more effective. We've discussed putting up a sign down at the,
Public Works
the Public
facility.
Works. And by the way, I just want to add on an added note, I went down to the Public Works, and there's nothing wrong with that gate, because I got out of my truck, and it slides without any issue. They
I didn't see there was
say,
any-
you have to hook a truck up to that thing to move it, and I got out, and I was like, yeah, not really.
That was that department, that was not me.
So, it does need, however, a wheel on the end, because what's happening is it's tipping, and by it tipping, it does make it a little more difficult. If you lift the end, it closes without an issue. So that is something that
Well,
will
maybe you can
definitely.
make your Public Works Department aware that that's how they.
Our next meeting is scheduled, as you guys all know, February 20th. We're having our next little collective group, and it will be addressed then.
Okay.
It will definitely be addressed that it will be shut, and that it's not open for discussion. We did get the back gate shut, so that's shut, and that's a good thing, so baby steps, people, baby steps.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
New business for discussion, we'll go through this. We went over probably almost all of it. Approval of minutes, you have a copy, please review it, and that'll be on the agenda for next week. a proclamation for Read Across America. That's something we do every year. Resolution to renew the website contract. Was there any questions with that?
It's still the same price.
It's the same price, and I believe that our clerk and our CFO have developed a much better relationship, and they're able to do a lot more. I think we've all seen a tremendous change. Resolution appointing the rep and alternate CDBG board. That actually meets tonight at 7 o'clock. I'm the new board member, or I'm actually nominated as the board member, and the alternate, so that'll be on the agenda.
How did we come up with the names for the representative and all?
Well, the previous name was Mr. Dickinson, and the committee did speak through channels, and we basically asked amongst ourselves, the personnel and administration. Kind of asked. Thank you. Would you like to be it? Like to be considered?
Yes, I would.
Okay, well, we'll consider it, thank you. Resolution releasing the performance bond and proven maintenance guarantee. Was there any questions on that? Mr. Bayshore can elaborate that. That's what we were talking about, as jobs get closed out, we give them their money back, basically, once the engineer signs off. Is that right?
This is the Cedar Properties, the retail center.
No, this is the
Oh, this is planning board, I'm sorry.
But we still have to
You
sign
still-
off that the site improvements were done in accordance with planning board approved plans. And this is the retail center at Cedar Properties, which is the former planned site. So this is just us saying that, yes, improvements were installed in accordance with the planning board approved plans.
Resolution authorizing a change order for Blackbird Pike, that just basically closes that.
That's
out.
the one Mark talked about.
That's the
yes.
one. Resolution authorizing property maintenance liens, as we know, Public Works, whatever those things, Joyce and John take care of that. Resolution authorizing the release of a bond from 1998.
Yeah, that's it. So Glenn looked at it. This is an old Sunoco surety bond that they
What is
was
planning
never
board again?
released. I don't know, was it planning board, I guess, Glenn?
This was, we granted them an easement to do some, for access, so they could do some work, which has probably been done for 12 years. But they lost track of it when, when somebody doesn't ask for their bond back, we don't react necessarily. So then they started writing us letters, I guess, the end of last year. And now I have to go find out what it is, because it was from 1998. And it was just that simple. It was just an access easement for them to do some work on their property. So we're just releasing their bond, which they've been renewing every year since 1998.
Oh my goodness, unbelievable.
Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But getting back to planning board escrow monies and stuff like that, that now is all electronic, correct, Mr. Wright? We now have a software program that takes care of all the escrows.
We do. Is that the same thing?
No, where this is not.
Well, no, this is different.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to jump back and say,
We utilize.
in the past year, we did update, the borough now is more electronic. When the planning board applicants put money in, we have a better accounting, but we still don't give it back to them unless they ask, correct? Is that the?
Correct, so we're still reviewing.
We're still.
Because if there's old ones, it can be turned over to current.
Oh, really? Capture that. Okay. Resolution authorizing year 2 of county co-op bid for office supplies is something we do every year. We're going to co-op to buy paper and all. Approval of a raffle and mail license. This would fall underneath your report. Discussion of appointment of special police officer. I think we pretty much think we're going to go that way. Part-time EMT, part-time finance department individual. I didn't really report on that, but we do have an interim person that did, well, really not even an interim.
Part-timer?
Just a part-timer until we find out what's going on in that department. The permanent public works employee, and then obviously the changes to the construction department, which we talked
Now,
about.
with the changes in construction department, does that come with any money?
At this point, we haven't done anything. We're creating something first.
So you're gonna take it away from the building code official?
Yes.
So you're gonna take it away from him now, and you're gonna give it to Keith Knight?
Yes.
But he's gonna take this duty with no money?
No, we have a tentative talk that was happening between myself and the CFO. It has not gone to the full committee yet until we were able to create this position. At that point, we will discuss it. I mean, if you remember, for the past several years, everyone has felt that yourself, I think included, felt that the property maintenance was an issue in the borough, and we needed to get more hours from our code enforcement official. I think this is a compromise. It gets more hours for the code enforcement official, but I think also grants us the zoning officer, which we never really had. And I think this will change the application process and make things a little bit more smooth.
I'm just worried about, yes, he's a good movement, but is he gonna take it
take money or?
At this point, no, he has an hourly salary that he gets now. If we increase his hours, we would, of course, he would get paid more. As we're taking on this position, we're talking with our budgeting constraints to see how much it would cost to have an actual zoning officer that would have set hours, daytime hours, evening hours. We have to evaluate the whole application. I mean, right now, the Borough of Runnemede does not have a zoning application.
I mean, well, now, but if you're gonna take it away from Keith, Chris Mackin, now you're gonna take money away from him?
More than likely not, because I hate to say it, I don't believe he really was doing the job.
In spare time?
In his spare time.
Well, no, it's fine, I agree with you, but it's just, now that we're gonna give him another job, I just want to know where we're gonna get the money to pay him.
We're gonna definitely look at it, but I think it's a necessity, very similar to us buying that software program that improves efficiency.
But now, if you do the change everything right now without having an agreement, if you're gonna give him more money, because he's gonna do the job, then he's gonna say, you know something, I don't want the job.
We've had some preliminary discussions, but you're 100% right. If we offer it to him and he doesn't want to take it,
And then we have a position.
we have a position and we can find somebody to fill it.
So we'll have to get rid of him from his.
Well, right now, we have a code enforcement official who's doing the job right now. I'm sure our code enforcement official, if, for example, Mr. Knight wouldn't take it, I would be very surprised if Mr. Mecca would not continue to do the job, which he's already doing under this new auspice of a code enforcement official. But I think the committee who's been talking believes that Mr. Knight will take this position. And I think we've all had some discussion about this. The committee has talked about this, and we feel this is an improvement.
Oh, it is, but you come down to the money now.
Absolutely. It is a money issue, but it's something where we think we feel close enough that we've taken the initiative to start to change the ordinance. Discussion of trash contract, do we want to discuss it at this point? Is there any new movement on that? Do you want to do that more as a Public Works Committee? Have they come back with a contract to you?
We could probably email the Public Works Committee.
Okay?
Yeah, we talked about it earlier, at the meeting we talked about.
You know, I think Public Works Committee should look at
Do we
it.
have time? I mean, it's what?
Well, there's really not much movement since,
I think that there was two issues that Public Works Superintendent wanted brought to the table, and that was one that the interlocal said that we would establish a program for syringes, and I don't think we're going to reinvent the wheel. I think we're going to reach out to Belmar and ask them what their program is, and I think it's just as simple as having in your policies, this is how you deal with it. I know we had an issue a couple years ago with this, and basically we just gave them instructions on how they should properly dispose of them, and I think that resolved the issue. The other question that John had was the day, and that was because the day that they had originally anticipated was a Friday, but due to the fact that there's construction that's going to be going on Route 42, plus even if there isn't construction on Route 42, a Friday in the Borough of Runnemede during the summer months is not going to be very productive. So they said that they actually had Tuesday available. And John's concern was if you had a recycling truck and the garbage trucks trying to compete for the same streets, and then it was even further brought out that they wouldn't know which can, if the can wasn't clearly marked, they should be stopping for. So there's some valid concerns that maybe we wouldn't have thought about from the finance side. So we're still ironing out the day, but the day that they have available for us is Tuesday. So what we would be discussing is whether we would be shifting to Tuesday, Wednesday for the side.
Yeah, well, because we had also discussed, like, the whole idea of having, when I say garbage, there's something out, and you and I had discussed this earlier, a long time ago. I said there's something out curbside in this town almost every single day. Monday it's yard waste, Tuesday it's recycling, Wednesday it's garbage, Thursday it's recycling. There's something curbside almost every day, and it looks bad. It looks bad. I would love to have it be funneled into one thing, but they did express the concern over the trucks meeting and it being a problem.
We only have limited amount of resources. But if you want to just briefly go over the financial impact, that we do have just so everyone knows publicly that it is looking like a very good offer for us.
Right. We're looking at about a 20% savings based on the structure that was presented, which is somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000. So I think that definitely, in today's economy, that definitely helps. So
and there are a lot more, because they're a small town, they understand, like, they don't dump the garbage cans upside down, like, they keep them upright, they, you know, they put the lids on it, they're a little more.
Yeah, more customer service.
more
And
customer
did you want to at least
service.
elaborate on the dumpster issue too, so that?
Right, basically, they would allow for 4 dumpsters, I believe it was 4-yard dumpsters to be placed in the borough. We consider possibly 1 here, 1 at Public Works, 1 or 2 at Public Works, depending on how that worked out, and possibly 1 at the Howard Williams. And again, it's just thought, but, so this way,
Or one at the RY also?
RY.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And-
$3 grand a
and-
year.
And that would be included in the cost of the collection, we would just have to buy the dumpster.
Yeah. And we'd probably have to put them, at least the ones that were in the public realm, you know, in some type of an enclosure, because that is our own ordinance that says that our dumpsters need to be
You
in
need
an
to take
enclosed
care of your
area.
own at the RY.
Right now,
We'll lose a parking spot out here.
we don't do that quite well.
Yes, there is.
Okay, so that's just discussion at this point. I think that at some point we'll get a more formal agreement sent to us. It's great that the Public Works superintendent's looking into this, and I think that the monetary issue is a no-brainer. I mean, that's a 20% reduction from the previous contract, not anything that, you know, a renewal. Discussion of handicap parking, St. Marie Paredes, we discussed how we're going to do that. Discussion of contract for repair of municipal building door. At the end of last year, there was a last-minute walk-on of an issue that had been dragging on for many years about repairing the door on the side of the building. It makes a lot of.
Your concern was not getting too many prices, so not allow Mark out, get too many prices on the door.
Okay.
Like you said, I mean,
Yeah, I think that at this point, you know, we weren't able to get more prices, and I think that there's been all the discussion. In case Mr. White is not aware, and the audience is not aware, we have cleaned up the entire upstairs of this building. So that entire upstairs is now cleaned up, and it can be used more. But the issue with it is it's not ADA compliant. And our predecessors never thought to, you know, look into how it would be ADA compliant. I think this, before we spend this $8,000, or if we do get a couple more bids, we should look into how we make it ADA compliant, and then make a decision at that point. If it's too costly to do that, maybe we fix the door. Maybe Public Works can do a little stopgap to, you know, mitigate the water coming in. Maybe there's something we could do just temporarily. Because I think we've got an opportunity to use that upstairs a lot more than what's being used right now. I mean, there's close to 4,000 square feet up there that is not used at all because it's not ADA compliant. Discussion of David Rowan's letter about townhouses. Did you get a chance to look at that letter? Or?
The letter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware of this issue. So it's just a matter of if council wants the board, the zoning planning board, to review the issue of whether or not you want townhouses as permissible uses in your town, then you just need to authorize them to do that, and they conduct a hearing on that issue, and then they will draft a resolution coming back to you with their recommendation with respect to changes or not of your code or / master plan. Then you can digest that, go through the same process, with an ordinance change, and then have the hearing on the ordinance change, and ultimately change. But it has to start, process-wise, it has to start. And they can only do that if you authorize them to do that.
And what I, just to give some backstory on this, when the master plan was redone, the planning board sent us their recommendations, and the council approved most of the recommendations. This was an issue that they kind of missed. They put townhouses, or it was already in there, where townhouses weren't really.
Yeah, no, they were there. It was.
What was it?
What happened was somehow, nobody's quite sure how, the words townhouses stayed in your ordinance. But all of the things that would go with that, what do we do with side yards, what's this grade, what's the backyard, all the other bulk issues that would be attended to any development program are absent, there are none. So you just have townhouses as a permissible use with no rules. So it makes the zoning and planning board impossible for them to understand if somebody comes in, this is how it started, somebody came in and said, I want to build townhouses, because they're permitted here.
Well, Len, what about the townhouses that are off East Air Road?
Well, they're probably
Pre-existing.
Oh,
We're talking about current.
Yeah, this is a new application. They sold townhouses, but there's no standards.
Right, there's no standard, so the issue became, And of course, now there was an application pending, this was probably last year, maybe the year before, but, so there's an application now pending before the board, and then the board comes and says, well, we want to recommend to the council that we eliminate. I said, well, you can't do it when somebody's applied for the analysis. You have to resolve that part of it before the council to really functionally act. So that's now been done. If Dave's letter outlines that resolution of that issue. So he's just outlining for you what you need to do if you want them to review that for you and make a recommendation, which I suggest that you do.
Yeah.
Even if you may choose not to follow that recommendation, but I suggest that you at least have them start that process.
I think because you are right, our townhouse is already in town. I think that we should recommend that they determine where townhouses should be allowed, because we can amend that in all of them. Because we already have them on Otter Bridge Road, so they got a permitted use at that location.
Right. If
it meets the standards, but they need to determine standards for us.
But you don't have to have, if they already exist.
We don't need to even worry about it?
Yeah, don't have to worry about it, because, and if they're no longer permissible, then they ultimately become non-conforming use, so they just.
Yeah, so there would be a pre-existing non-conforming use, they don't.
I just, when you set a precedent like that, and those townhouses have been there for a number of years, could they go back and say, well, you've already permitted them?
No.
You've already built them, you've already given permission to them.
And that happens
It
in a
can't
lot
go
of.
back to
No,
that.
it could not. You know what happens in a lot of,
You
happens
set a
in communities,
precedent.
as communities develop and their master plans change, what communities want in their communities change. So I can't take it away from you if you already have it, but I can stop somebody else.
Right, okay.
I mean, I think we should send a letter about it, and that would be, you could do that, Len, basically. We don't have to necessarily do it this month, but maybe we could draft something for next month.
Yeah, you have to, the council just has to approve. You
Approve a
have
letter.
to approve, authorize them to move forward.
Okay.
I'll put something.
Yeah, and then, for them to review this thing and let them bring something back to us. Because I think that they realize that it caused them a lot of problems.
Does that mean that the property that they want to put houses on, those 50, what is it?
That's already resolved.
They're not going to be able to.
No, they only have a preliminary site plan approval. for
48
houses.
homes,
Right.
48.
They've backed off of that.
Oh.
Yeah. So they've gone off on that. So, let's see. We're a little late, we're running a little late.
The ambulance was the last.
Purchase and ambulance, we've already, we're gonna put that on there.
It'll be advertised.
And we've already discussed the other stuff, so now we are at
With the welfare.
for the welfare. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Would anyone wish to come up to the microphone, state their name and address, and address the council? Seeing no one, would you like to make?
I was going to leave.
You want to go? Okay. Did you want to? Yes, sir. Speak?
John Smith, New Jersey, temporary. On West Thompson Avenue, Gloucester City, New Jersey. Thompson Avenue, Gloucester City, New Jersey. I didn't get a chance to question the reorg. Council member, as well as the planning board, so chairman, nothing wrong with you talk about this. At your reorganization, the council, I'll use the council in terms of the governing body, we have a number of resolutions to appointing certain officials, as is the council's prerogative to do. Some are direct, some are made at are placed in the agenda. Included in the resolution, which this council voted on, were appointments to the planning and zoning board. The planning and zoning board appointments, with the exception of class 3, is appointed directly by the mayor. The council does not appoint. I went to 3 other reorg meetings in the borough form of government. Each of them, the names appear on the agenda. The mayor announced the appointments because it was the mayor's appointment, not the council. That never happened here in Runnemede. So my question to this governing body, well, the mayor's not here, but you have the powers of
I can answer.
temporary, is that, were those current people who were sworn in, were they appointed correctly? If they were not appointed correctly, they have to be reappointed. I guess either the mayor probably is, or if she's agitated for a time, you would have to make those appointments.
The mayor did make those appointments. They were put on the agenda by the clerk. The clerk made the mayor aware of which appointments were up or were available, because we had a 4-year, and the class 3 was myself, and I was recommended and put on there, but the mayor did make all the appointments. And maybe she didn't articulate it when she said it at that moment, but I think the clerk and myself can attest that she deliberated and whom she wanted to do it, and she talked to those people and she put them on the list.
I think that's to do maybe house cleaning. Should the governing body go back to amend the resolution? Not because you included that in that resolution.
They confirmed it, council confirmed the appointment.
And we just confirmed it.
That's all.
Yeah, that's all we did.
We don't have to.
Yeah, we're okay.
In future years, I could add a suggestion that any appointments that are directed by the mayor appear in the heading, appointments made by the mayor.
I appreciate
Another
it.
part of the general would be appointments made by council, and some are appointments by advice and consent. When they're nominated by the mayor, the council can either act or they can not act the whole office 30 days and then appoint.
Well, all the appointments are the mayor and council, except for the appointment for the class 3, but all the appointments that were on that agenda, all of them started with the mayor.
With
Everyone,
the exception of
with
the
the exception of the class 3.
Well,
Okay?
I'm just talking in the agenda. Some appointments within government is directed by the council. Some is with advice and consent.
Okay.
And others are by the mayor.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Anything else? Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Yes?
Hi, everyone. Maria Panzarella, 12 South Oakland Avenue. I'm actually here as the RY president, though, not the resident. My hope is that the new council will work together with the RY. Our reorg is actually going to be, we take our second nominations tomorrow night, and then our vote the following week. So I have spoken to a couple of you, and would very much like to meet once our new board is in place with the new council, so that we're on the same page. I heard talk of, things that are, or things that were discussed that could be done, and I have some things that, you guys may want to see, so that that long-term and short-term list may or may not need to be done. But that's my goal. In terms of the trash, we're spending about $3,000 a year on our dumpster, so any of that we cannot have to pay obviously helps us. We were given that burden 4 years ago when your predecessors decided that we should pay for it by ourselves, and it has been a burden on the organization. It's a little over $200 a month that, we just, our prices to register children in the borough of Runnemede have either stayed the same or gone down since my involvement. And obviously, as you know, the cost of everything is going up. The equipment, we need to purchase the uniforms. So to have to turn around and pass the dumpster on to the parents seems unfair.
How often is the dumpster dumped?
Once a week.
Once a week.
We have 2 dumpsters that are dumped once a week. Right now, we don't have much trash in them, but unfortunately our contract doesn't allow for us to cancel it. We're under contract for a whole year. So, all right, I appreciate it. Good luck. Thank you all. And I just real quick, if I could say, my friend, who happens to be the captain, has some really good ideas that I know he actually spoke to me about during, again, the old administration with regard to the RY and some programs that he's actually applied and gotten approval for, that I hope that you'll recognize how important some of those things are, because they not only benefit, the RY, but the safety of everyone in that area. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Mr. Schmidt?
John Schmidt, Avenue, Jersey, temporary council again. Are any of you familiar with the Civic Association in Runnemede?
We are.
Under your borough code, it states that all expenditures made by the Civic Association is to be approved by the council. As you may or may not know, that never happened.
Yeah, if I can stop you for a second, we did have a discussion about this during the meeting. And you missed that, and it was brought up that Mrs. Passio brought up the fact that we needed to look at the Civic Association expenditures. And Mr. Wright, and we are going to work that out. It was, for a time, not part of the borough for some reason. Now that it's been brought to our attention, we will look into it and figure out what's going on with that.
Whether it's going to be part or not part.
It will be part of the borough again.
Since it has, I guess, under law been part of the borough, was any public funds expended by that civic association last year?
No.
No.
And that's, I did, if I may speak, I did get a chance to look at the ordinance when it was brought to my attention, and again, I've been here for 3 years, that's the first time I've seen it. And my interpretation on that with regards to that is if we budgeted funds for that use, we cut no checks to the Civic Association and we received no funding from the Civic Association. So I'll leave it to Len to determine how they're going to word that going forward. And I don't know what the intent was originally because I wasn't here, but we did not budget money and give them money, so there would be nothing to audit and review.
When did you have the code book review? Wasn't that recently done?
There was codification done about 3 years ago. And it was, you know, it's 500 pages. It was something that was missed.
And how much did you pay your attorney at that time to do that?
I don't recall.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Have a motion and close.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, very well, very close. Having a motion for adjournment?
Also move.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we adjourn.